of the day. Ooh, cutesy. Very demure.
Are you looking for love?
Come on one of our blind dates. Send your request to ezoneblindates@gmail.com. That's ezoneblindates@gmail.com.
And stay tuned for your confessions.
These are my confessions.
Share them with us at ezoneconfessions@yahoo.com. I mean, is this planet Earth?
Is it?
I don't know. Let me check. Either way, it's got a buzz.
And a bugger thing.
Ow! Ow!
Public opinion.
Stop this foolish about this JLP and PNP business. We are Jamaican.
Different people.
It's not a matter of a JLP or a PNP. I think it's more like where it is that you think you're comfortable, what support you can afford to make the country better.
Different views.
Most entertainers, they're not amenable to management, so the only thing that can ultimately structure them is the court and the prison.
Public opinion. The voice of the people at 6:25 p.m. weekdays during Nationwide at 5. Tune into Nationwide at 6:25 p.m. for Public Opinion, where the people's views matter.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Ready to tackle that building project? Start right. Start here at H&L Rapid True Value for building supplies. The time by H&L Rapid True Value is
Nationwide time, 5 o'clock.
From the Nationwide News Network, comprehensive, incisive, tough. This is Nationwide at 5.
Good afternoon. I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Robianne Williams.
In Nationwide News at this hour, the PNP says it will present a former senior superintendent of police, Steve McGregor, as its new caretaker for Central Kingston.
The JLP says PNP hush money scandal confirms the party's willingness to use corrupt means to secure state power.
34 murders committed in Jamaica in the first 11 days of the new year.
JFJ wants increased powers under the Enhanced Security Measures Act to be given a limited time.
It sets a time to say after 3-4 years, 5 years, these particular pieces of legislation will expire. It will come to an end.
Barita defends the unwillingness of financial institutions to more readily pass on interest rate reductions to customers.
In news from the rest of the world, Haitian police arrest ex-lawmaker long accused of arming gangs to influence elections.
Electric company Los Angeles facing multiple lawsuits for its alleged role in starting one of the raging fires.
In headline sports, IOC provides replica silverware to American swing star who lost 5 gold medals in the Los Angeles wildfires.
And later in our broadcast, in our cover story at 5:35, supporters of the opposition People's National Party in Central Kingston are vowing to withhold their votes if Lawrence Rowe is not reinstated as their constituency caretaker.
See him there? Ban. Yes, sir. And him will say, and nobody now vote. So that makes sense. Him come for labor right to win back in here. Winner vote.
You'll hear more from the PNP supporters.
In Public Opinion at 6:26, we ask, what's your reaction to Lawrence Rowe's removal as PNP caretaker for Central Kingston? Give us your comments by logging on to our Facebook page, Nationwide News Network, and by tweeting us at Nationwide Radio and message us on WhatsApp at 876-285-5693. You can also leave your comments on Instagram at Nationwide90FM.
In the nation's business at 6:40, Works Minister Robert Morgan says work under the Spark program will be intensified over the coming days. He will join us.
And at 7, it's our new feature, Seismic Dialogue. It's focused on promoting earthquake preparedness and safety during Earthquake Awareness Month. This week, you'll hear from the Director General of ODPEM, Richard Thompson, and the Scientific Officer at the Earthquake Unit at the UWI Mona, Carleen Black.
All these and more as we take you home on air on your mobile, Nationwide 90 FM, Nationwide Radio, JM.com, and on the Nationwide app available in Google Play and the App Store. This Monday afternoon, it's Monday, January 13, 2025.
If it's news, it's
got to be Nationwide 90 FM.
Now to the details. The opposition People's National Party has announced that officials of the party will join local representatives in central Kingston to present a former senior superintendent of police, Steve McGregor, as the constituency's new prospective parliamentary candidate on Wednesday, January 15. It's set to be held at the PNP's constituency office on 14 North Avenue in central Kingston. This follows official word from the PNP on the weekend, confirming that Lawrence Rowe would no longer be its standard bearer. The PNP's disclosure on January 11 is causing discontent among some PNP supporters and residents in the constituency. Some PNP supporters are vowing to paint the party's office green.
No place can go on. Because Lawrence, everybody know Lawrence, right? And him know how to deal with people. Because we understand him and him understand we too. So without Lawrence, is no vote. And it can't be no vote because we're going to paint up the office in a green. Ever sudden. So that's that me feel about the thing. Because we know Lawrence for years and I see in a community man, so everybody will work with him. Nobody not big over Lawrence. If Lawrence is right, we listen.
They also say they'll not vote if Lawrence Rowe is not reinstated as caretaker.
It don't really look good because right now them say Lawrence now, run them now, give him no chance. Round there are four other is inter people them a bring come for run round here and the people them a say if on a row, them now stand up, them now vote for nobody else, a problem.
And a few JLP supporters also spoke out against the PNP's decision to replace Rowe. They say he'll give the PNP a greater chance of winning Central Kingston at the next general elections.
Member of the JLP Communication Task Force, Marlon Morgan, has described the allegations made by the former PNP caretaker for Central Kingston, Lawrence Rowe, as the PNP's willingness to breach the principles of good governance. He's reacting to allegations made by Rowe that opposition leader Mark Golding offered him $15 million in resources, along with a seat in the Senate and appointment to a government board if he goes quietly.
The allegations made by Lawrence Rowe constitute a disclosure which confirms the PNP's willingness to use corrupt means and breach good governance in its desperate attempt to secure state power. The PNP's leadership and Mayor of Kingston, Andrew Swaby, have serious questions to answer as they have not credibly disavowed the allegations made by Lawrence Rowe. Notwithstanding any attempt to refute the allegations made by Lawrence Rowe, the Jamaican people would be hard-pressed to derive any assurance that the absence of any further pushback from Lawrence Rowe has not been brought about by his silence being bought.
Last weekend, an official release came from the PNP informing the public that Rowe would no longer be the caretaker for Central Kingston. Morgan notes that the alleged actions of the PNP's leadership raise several questions, including whether the PNP has made negotiations like these before with other persons.
Opposition leader Mark Golding is on record indicating his intention to form government with a top-and-array set of people around him. While the public may now deduce that Lawrence Rowe is not top-and-array enough, the real questions that arise are, how many of its decisions does the PNP make in the manner alleged by Lawrence Rowe? Is the KSAMC being used to advance the partisan political interests of PNP caretakers rather than serving the people of the municipality? Are there other persons with whom the PNP has similarly negotiated? And what monetary compensation or reward or indeed position in a future PNP administration have these persons been promised?
Marlon Morgan, member of the JLP Communication Task Force.
In other news now, 34 murders have been recorded in the first 11 days of the year. That's according to statistics published by the Jamaica Constabulary Force, JCF, on its website. This represents 8 more homicides when compared to the corresponding period in 2024. The St. Catharines South and the St. Andrews South Police Divisions both recorded 5 murders. The Kingston Western and St. Andrews Central Police Divisions have seen 4 homicides each and St. Mary 3. As a result, 48-hour curfews have been imposed in St. Andrews South, Kingston West, St. Andrews Central, and St. Catharines South. The measures took effect at 6 p.m. on Sunday and will remain in place until 6 Tuesday evening. The Independent Commission of Investigations, INDECOM, is reporting that 8 people have been fatally shot by the security forces since the beginning of the year. Against this background, Commissioner of INDECOM, Hugh Faulkner, is reiterating his call for the deployment of body-worn cameras by the security forces. Robian Williams reports.
Commissioner of INDECOM Hugh Faulkner is stressing the importance of body-worn cameras for members of the security forces.
Comparatively speaking, 2024 January had 13 fatalities by the security forces. 2025, at the 13th of January, we have witnessed 8 fatalities. Statistically, the data seems to be just about on par. However, any conversation about fatalities by the security forces must raise the matter of the deployment of body-worn cameras. This essential device will raise the levels of accountability and transparency.
Mr. Faulkner points out that in 2024, rulings were handed down by the country's chief prosecutorial body for charges to be brought against 8 members of the security forces.
In 2024, the DPP ruled in 8 cases for officers to be charged for murder and fatal shooting cases. In one instance of the 2024 rulings, the concerned officer was a JDF soldier, and in the other 7 cases, the officers were from the JCF.
The latest INDECOM investigation surrounds the circumstances of an off-duty police shooting incident which resulted in the death of a woman. Dead is 20-year-old Jimoy Suku, a bartender of Paradise, Westmoreland. The incident occurred on Sunday at a hotel in Mapen, Clarendon. In a statement on Monday, INDECOM says it is reported that the concerned officer's JCF-issued firearm was discharged, which caused the injury and subsequent death. Initial media reports are that Suku accompanied the lawman to the hotel sometime after 9 p.m. Our news center understands that the policeman who is assigned to the Specialized Operations Branch placed his service pistol beside the woman on the bed. He reportedly turned away for a moment when he heard an explosion and realized that she had been shot. INDECOM says its investigation will seek to ascertain the full circumstances and actions taken which resulted in the weapon being fired. The Commission says the concerned officer provided an initial account to its investigative team and his gun was taken. The incident scene was examined and processed. INDECOM adds that the hands of the deceased as well as the concerned officer were swabbed for gunshot residue. The concerned officer is to submit a statement and an interview will be scheduled. Robian Williams for Nationwide News.
Human rights group Jamaicans for Justice, JFJ, is recommending that increased powers under the Enhanced Security Measures Act, ESMA, be given a limited time span to facilitate continuous review. It's one of several recommendations put forward by JFJ's Executive Director, Mikel Jackson. She was speaking on Monday's show, Let's Talk Justice, on Nationwide 90 FM, with crime security expert Professor Anthony Clayton. Shalois Michael reports.
The much-touted Enhanced Security Measures Act has been in discussion since 2019. The act seeks to eliminate reliance on short-term political approvals, providing security forces with the clarity and authority they need to dismantle violent networks decisively. But there have been some concerns that the ESMA may be in breach of some constitutional rights. Ms. Jackson is urging the government to table the act to allay these concerns.
The devil is in the details for JFJ. And I know we have to tackle crime in the country, but I'm a little bit concerned when I just hear these buzzwords being used without greater indication from the government what exactly will be in the ESMA. So it's the safeguards that I'm a little bit concerned about. What JFJ is calling for is for the government to table the Enhanced Security Measures Act.
Among other things, Ms. Jackson is proposing that a sunset clause be included in the ESMA, allowing the legislation to expire after a specific period of time.
We know that these are extraordinary measures, so it sets a time to say after 3, 4 years, 5 years, these particular pieces of legislation will expire. It will come to an end. And it then forces Parliament to review about whether the act is necessary for continuation. And I think that would be a recommendation from JFJ that you include a sunset clause in the ESMA when it's tabled. The right of appeal must be included where citizens can appeal any such special detention order and so on. And of course, ensuring that judicial oversight is properly outlined in any such legislation.
For his part, Professor Clayton says public education campaigns are long overdue to create awareness of the ESMA.
This has actually been under discussion since, I believe, March of 2019. And it does surprise me that it's taken this long. And we still don't know the details because this potentially is a very significant package, legislative package, and will have a lot of implications for the fight against crime. And one or two aspects of it will potentially touch on some civil rights issues. I believe it's important that there should be greater public awareness of what is being proposed and the opportunity for a broader discussion before these measures are homologated into law.
Shaloy Smichael for Nationwide News.
You're listening to Nationwide News at 5. More news after these.
Value Drug Pharmacy offers curbside pickup and delivery of your branded and generic drugs. WhatsApp your prescription to 876-881-6695. The time by Value Drug Pharmacy is
15 minutes after 5.
Rentokil Initial offers air purification solutions with triple filtration and unique auto-sensing capabilities that neutralizes malodor and replaces it with clean air. Call Rentokil Initial at 926-4236 for more details.
The temperature by Rentokil is
29 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 28 out west in Montego Bay.
Take your business to the next level. Join Jamaica Stock Exchange at its landmark 20th Regional Investment and Capital Markets Conference from the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel, January 21st to 23rd, 2025. 3 exciting days of powerful, inspiring, and innovative presentations. Hear from industry experts and entrepreneurs from the Caribbean, USA, Canada, Latin America, and Africa. Come, connect, and network. Reserve your spot at www.jamstockex.com or call 876-967-3271.
Continuing the news, Mayor of Spanish Town Norman Scott is seeking to assure the councillors of the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation that its CEO, Marvelyn Pitter, will become a signatory to its checking account. The matter was raised by the corporation's minority leader, Teresa Turner Flynn, during its meeting last week. Mahiri Stewart has that story.
Concern about proper accounting processes at the council was raised at last Thursday's sitting of the St. Catherine Municipal Corporation by JLP Minority Leader Teresa Turner Flynn. The councillor for the Hampton Green Division questioned Mayor Norman Scott about the CEO's status as a signatory to the corporation's account following a recent incident.
I want to know because an incident took place in December during the Christmas season where if the CEO was a signature to the bank account, then maybe, just maybe, it would have never happened. So I want to know this morning in question, if from February or early March until today, I don't care what you are saying now. I don't care what you are saying, Fenley Douglas. Until this day, if the CEO is not a signature to the bank account, and who are the signatures to the bank account?
Mayor Scott, in response, explained that the holdup was not due to the corporation, but instead due to delays at the bank.
The officers that signed, there are 2 political and there are some administrative persons. As far as I'm concerned, the documentation for the current CEO has already been initiated. The rest is for the bank to do their procedure. It's not something that happened overnight.
Mayor Scott added that the corporation is awaiting the green light from the Ministry of Finance regarding a new checking account.
We have been trying to open a new bank account since 2016, and we have been waiting on the Ministry of Finance to give the authorization. So these things don't happen overnight, Councillor Flint. I will quick to say that I would have preferred that the same day that the CEO assumes her duty here, she would be able to sign on the account.
However, Councillor for the Mount Industry Division, Corel Davis, was not satisfied with Mayor Scott's response. She demanded that the bank representatives come to a future meeting to explain the delay.
I listened to you explain that the length of time that the bank will take to have the CEO being able to do the necessary here. This is from last year, February, March. The CEO is at this council. I am a school board chairman and I am a signatory for the 2 schools within 3 months. So I am asking personnel from the bank come here and explain to us why up until now the CEO cannot be a signatory.
Mahiri Stewart for Nationwide News.
The principals of one of the country's oldest investment firms, Berita, are defending the unwillingness of financial institutions to more readily pass on interest rate reductions to customers. Several stakeholders, including the Bank of Jamaica, have raised concerns over the slow pass-through as the central bank continues to lower its own rates in recent months. However, in an interview with Nationwide News, Chief Executive Officer Designate of Berita Financial Holding Company, Dane Brodber, and Berita Chief Executive Officer Ramon Small Ferguson both sought to explain to Jamaicans the financial sector's rationalization. Siobhan Campbell tells us more.
As of December 2024, the Bank of Jamaica's policy rate, which is offered to financial institutions, is 6%. It's fallen from 7% in July, a position which the central bank had maintained for over 2 years. The purpose of the high interest rate is to reduce the availability of liquidity in the market and restrict spending in order to fight inflation. This impacts lending rates such as loans and mortgages. With inflation now low, the central bank is now reducing rates in order to spur growth. However, financial institutions remain stubborn in their attempts to maintain relatively high interest rates. Mr. Brodber argues that when interest rates climbed, they were similarly slow in passing on the pain to their customers.
I mean, our institution and institutions like us are reviewing their lending rates. Now, what's important to note as well, though, is that as rates were rising, recall that benchmark rates moved from near 0% to 7% when interest rates were rising. And the pace of the increase in lending rates, for sure, didn't keep pace. That in fact, there was a bit of frustration around the fact that wasn't happening, because that was a part of what was expected to be an outcome of the rise in interest rates.
He sought to assure customers that the rates will fall, but the sector must cautiously make its own adjustments.
You will see adjustments in rates as rates continue to decline. Mm-hmm. But it's important to note that the pace of increases were tempered on the way up. Which is why you're seeing not as fast as a reaction in terms of a reaction on the way down.
Meanwhile, Mr. Small Ferguson argued it would not be prudent from a business perspective to immediately reduce rates.
It really comes down to the fact that there is a relationship from a banking perspective between where the bank borrows through deposits and where the bank earns through loans, right? And both are very much related and need to move in tandem. So savings rates aren't going to collapse as rates go down, and in the same way, lending rates aren't going to collapse. So it's prudent for there to be a measured downward adjustment in both.
Siobhan Campbell for Nationwide News.
World in a Minute is brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
The World in a Minute. Police in Haiti have arrested a former legislator accused of arming gangs in the country's central region to influence elections. Profan Victor, an ex-member of parliament, was arrested on Sunday in the capital Port-au-Prince. His arrest marks a rare win for Haitian police in a country where high-ranking politicians accused in killings and gang activity often act with impunity. Police said a former gang leader had accused Victor several times of colluding with gang members. A UN report released last year noted that Victor began arming young men to secure his 2016 election win.
An electric company in Los Angeles, California, is facing multiple lawsuits for its alleged role in starting one of the raging fires that has left at least 24 people dead and displaced tens of thousands. One lawsuit filed today against Southern California Edison claims the utilities equipment sparked the deadly Eaton fire burning just outside L.A. Edison has acknowledged that fire agencies are investigating whether its equipment may have started a smaller fire.
World in a Minute was brought to you by ABC Electrical Sales. We make things as easy as ABC. Hose assembly and supply, equipping Jamaica for success.
And Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology and integrity.
Recapping the top stories in nationwide news at this hour. The PNP says it will present a former senior superintendent of police, Steve McGregor, as its new caretaker for Central Kingston.
The JLP says PNP hush money scandal confirms the party's willingness to use corrupt means to secure state power.
34 murders committed in Jamaica in the first 11 days of the new year.
JFJ wants increased powers under the Enhanced Security Measures Act to be given a limited time.
Barita defends the unwillingness of financial institutions to more readily pass on interest rate reductions to customers. I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Robianne Williams.
You can find the news on our website at nationwideradiojm.com and on the Nationwide app available on Google Play and the App Store. News next. The headlines at 6.
Outperform, outlast. We top performance. Eating Jackama. Reliable, full stop, not comma. We have the expertise for drilling and demolition. We have the power tools for plumbers and electrician. Fancy select tools, 3 parts and 3 repairs. 3 parts, 3 repairs. 2 to 3 years. Hilton, available at Delta Supply, 106 Hagley Park Road. Call us at 876-302-61124. Delta Supply. We service what we sell.
Sports at 5 is brought to you by Total Tools. They almost always have it.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Nationwide Sports understands that World Under 20 100 meters champion Jamaica's Alana Reid has left Star Athletics Club to join hurdles mechanics based at the University of Arkansas. Reid made a shocking move in October of 2023 to start training under the guidance of Richardson's coach, that's Shakira Richardson's coach, Dennis Mitchell, at the Florida-based Star Athletics Track Club. In 1 year of working with the respected coach, the 19-year-old won the 100 meters and 4x100 meters gold at the Under-20 World Championships in Lima, Peru last year, and she ran a season's best time of 11.06 seconds. Reid also competed in the 4x100 meters relay at the Paris 2024 Olympic Games as part of the Jamaica team that placed 5th overall. Reid has 100 meters lifetime best of 10.92 seconds set in 2023 at the National High School Championship, which stands as the national under-20 record. She also has a 200 meters lifetime best of 22.95 to win bronze at the 2022 World Under-20 Championships in Cali, Colombia. At hurdle mechanics, Reid will join a talented and experienced group that has fellow Jamaican stars and national champions Akira Nugent and Nikisha Price, as well as Paris Olympics medalists such as Alexis Holmes, Amber Ening, and Anna Cockrell. Leaders and former champions Mount Pleasant Academy, well, they're leading Racing United by a goal to nil after 23 minutes in the Ray and Nephew Jamaica Premier League clash at the Tony Spalding Sports Complex. Shaquille Bradford scored his 8th goal of the season in the 9th minute to give Mount Pleasant the lead. Coming up in the feature game at 7:45, Montego Bay United will battle with Arnett Gardens. veteran cricket commentator Joseph Rex Pereira says he would drop vice-captain Joshua De Silva from his starting 11 for the first test against Pakistan, which starts on January 17 at the Multan Cricket Stadium. De Silva made 22 and 13 in the West Indies practice game against Shaheen's 11. Pereira says being vice-captain is not enough reasons to be selected.
Well, I can only pick this team on the form showed in Pakistan in the 3-day game. And my side would be Braffett captain, Louis his co-opener, Hodge at number 3, Atenes at 4, Django Teskap at 5, Imlad Teskap at 6, the all-rounder Graves comes in at 7, and then you have the all-rounder Sinclair with his off-spin, bats quite decently, Moti, Roach, and Seals. That will be my 11 based on form. Now, I've taken the bold decision not to pick De Silva. He didn't have a good recent tour with the Bangladeshis coming to the West Indies, didn't get runs in the practice game, and sometimes you just can't get picked because you are the vice-captain. And there's a precedent where a vice-captain in Australia was not chosen for a test match.
That's Joseph Rex Pereira. And finally, in sports at the stand, the International Olympic Committee says they will present a new set of medals to multiple Olympic swimming medalist Gary Hall Jr. of the United States after he won after the 10 medals he won at 3 Olympic Games were destroyed in the Los Angeles wildfires. Hall had to evacuate from his home in Pacific Palisades last week as fires swept through the neighborhood. He said he fled taking only his dog, the insulin he uses to treat his diabetes, a painting of his grandfather, and a religious artifact. The 50-year-old was unable to return to the house to get the 5 gold, 3 silver, and 2 bronze medals he won at Olympic Games from 1996 to 2004. Hall, who ran into the house during the blaze, said if he could have stayed another 30 seconds, he probably could have gotten the medals, but added that he wasn't willing to take that risk. President of the International Olympic Committee, Thomas Bach, said today that Hall will be given replica medals. Los Angeles Lakers coach J.J. Redick also had his house destroyed in the Palisades fire. The NBA had postponed the Lakers game against the Charlotte Hornets on Thursday and called off their showdown against the LA Clippers on Saturday, saying they did not want to divert resources from the wildfire response. That will do it for sports at the minute, but we're going to be back with much more at 6:05 this evening.
Sports at 5 was brought to you by Total Tools. They almost always have it.
Since 2016, 156,000 more Jamaicans are working. This is more than any other time in our history. Your government is caring for you. The time brought to you by the Office of the Prime Minister is
5:31.
Jamaica, let's spread the word around to let the world know that we are proud to be one republic. We on the road to republic. Well then, let's propel we nation moving forward in a new direction. True independence, that's the projection. No more dependency, it's the best plan. Yes, we know what's best for us, cause we want we country prosperous. So make we just pull together as the general public while on the road to republic. Jamaica, let's spread the word around to let the world know that we are proud to be one republic. We on the road to republic.
A message from the Ministry of Legal and Constitutional Affairs.
We on the road to republic.
The following earthquake tip is brought to you by Coast to Coast Concrete. Before an earthquake, know your risk. Research the area and find out if you live near an active fault line. Check whether the ground around you is more susceptible to the effects of an earthquake. You should also be aware of seismic hazards. These hazards are secondary dangers that could be triggered by an earthquake. The preceding earthquake tip was brought to you by Coast to Coast Concrete. Telephone 876-754-7472.
Charles O'Connor Consulting Network, COCN, is a financial reporting firm that delivers accounting and compliance services on time. Call us today at 876-908-0486-7. Email us at clientservices@cocnjamaica.com or visit our website at www.cocnjamaica.com. COCN, driven by international accounting standards, modern technology, and integrity.
Public opinion.
Stop this foolish about this GLP and PMP business. We are a Jamaican.
Different people.
It's not a matter of a JLP or a PMP. I think it's more like where it is that you think you're comfortable, what support you can afford to make the country better.
Different views.
Most entertainers, they're not amenable to management, so the only thing that can ultimately structure them is the court and the prison.
Public opinion. The voice of the people at 6:25 p.m. weekdays during Nationwide at 5. Tune into Nationwide at 6:25 p.m. for Public Opinion, where the people's views matter.
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Are you ready for it?
Revo. Coming soon.
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, "By God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path." Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's Word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis. Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis. Weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The rebroadcast of the Oasis can be heard weekdays at 5:45 a.m.
I'm Dennis Brooks.
I'm Marlon Campbell.
I'm Floyd Green.
And I'm Garth Williams. Catch us on the Jamaican Dads podcast right here on Nationwide 90 FM, Thursdays at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m.
The Jamaican Dads podcast is all about providing men with a healthy, safe, and functional forum to tackle many of the taboo topics that concern our masculinity.
Like everyone else out there, we're dads of varying amounts of experience who come from different backgrounds and often view the world differently.
We're definitely not perfect, but we're all brethren and we're all committed to this piece of rock called Jamaica.
Too often, there are no safe spaces for men to explore the issues which are important to us.
Plus, most of the content out there about parenthood is produced by women, for women. So we think it is important that we be the change we want to see.
Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Jamaican Dads with a Z.
And definitely join us here on Nationwide 90 FM every Thursday at 8 p.m. with a repeat on Sundays at 6 p.m. for the Jamaican Dads podcast. It's a revolution in media.
Cover Story is brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
Multilink. Access every time, everywhere I go. Multilink. 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use Multilink. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere. Spend while supporting the economy.
Look for the Multilink logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network.
Multilink, 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my Multilink?
Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us here on Nationwide at 5. I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Siobhan Campbell.
Good afternoon, Siobhan.
Good afternoon, Sir Hughes.
Good. And in our cover story this afternoon, Central Kingston PNP politics. The opposition party this afternoon announced that it was moving quickly to replace and to put in place a new standard bearer in the constituency. He is a former senior superintendent of police, Steve McGregor. And according to the PNP, he will join local representatives of the constituency will join its officials this Wednesday, January 15, when it will present SSP McGregor at its constituency office on 14 North Avenue.
Quickly indeed, this follows official word from the PNP on the weekend, confirming that Lawrence Rowe would no longer be its standard bearer. Supporters of the party in the constituency are vowing to paint the party's constituency office green and withhold their votes if Lawrence is not reinstated.
No place can't go on. Lawrence, everybody know Lawrence, right? And him know how to deal with people. Because we understand him and him understand we too. So without Lawrence, is no vote. And it can't be no vote because we're going to paint up the office in a green. Ever so then, right? So that does that me feel about the thing. Because we know Lawrence for years. And I see in a community, man, so everybody will work with him. Nobody not big over Lawrence. If Lawrence is right, we listen. So it's no replace.
A long time he must fight as a youth. He must struggle long time, yes, so we do it. We know him. We don't want nobody where we don't know. Where we can't go talk to. Because you're supposed to can't talk to your MP and say something to your MP. We don't want nobody where we don't know.
PNP supporters in Central Kingston today speaking with at Nationwide News. Central Kingston is represented in the Parliament by the GLP's Donovan Williams, an attorney at law. Williams polled 4,568 votes to defeat Imani Duncan Price, who polled 4,265 in the 2020 general election.
Last Monday, January 6, Mr. Rowe denied claims that his party was making efforts to remove him from the seat. He went as far as to tell our news centre on the record that he was secure in his position in the build-up to the next general election. However, since his removal on the weekend, Rowe's own posts on social media have indicated that efforts to remove him through the PNP's National Campaign Committee were underway from as early as December 27, 2024.
The PNP's disclosure that Rowe would no longer be its standard bearer in Central Kingston came on January 11. In a letter to Rowe, the party president Mark Golding noted that he did not get favourable feedback from influential comrades in the constituency. According to Golding, the assessment was that Rowe could not unify the party behind his candidacy.
But news of Rowe's removal has not gone down well with some PNP supporters in the constituency. They have described him as a real youth who has earned the respect of constituents.
Lawrence no vote.
Yeah, man, I said we are going
Central Kingston belongs to Lawrence. No, Lawrence put up a whole heap of fight for we round here. No care, him never have it, you know. Him never have it. And anytime we are go out on road, if we borrow that, him borrow it and make sure everybody alright. So I don't see the reason why everybody get up and I fight him now. At all the while when it reach to the nitty-gritty for election, there is something crack up around here. Like them want labor right to control around here, but nobody now control around here. No Lawrence, nobody. And let I tell you, at all the while them come with them foolishness, and when them done, them carry it to the bigger authority. To go make the bigger authority feel say the youth is that type with them attack. Right? He help us. Him help all people, even what day in a Christmas, how much package. Him can go give all people back to school. Him look all people.
Watch on, mama, watch on. I went to that money, mama, I tell you straight up. Nobody know that shit, man. Because sure say that really run that away. So the money we are watch. So who them want put in with them money? We don't want him say that we don't want the money.
Them want put in. Hey, look at the whole people them.
I tell them, mama, it's not about money, so really out. Really getting respect. I tell them, mama, so it's not about money. You hear that?
No, McGregor, boya. See him there? Ban. Yes, so, and him will say, and nobody now vote, so that makes sense. Him come for labor right to win back in here, because we now vote. You know, see, and him build this place. Him build make the love come back here, so. Because one time you make a gunshot like one, see him there, the young youth, and him do it for we. We now do not labor right here, come here, so about them, come vote. None at all. Lawrence Rowe, what else? No vote.
If they want to see it, Lord Lawrence. If they want to lose the seat, that's what Lawrence.
That's right, Lawrence.
And you see what going.
Yes, so
You want labor right.
Well, some PNP supporters, they're expressing their disagreement with the decision of the party to pull Lawrence Rowe from Central Kingston as its standard bearer. And by the afternoon, the PNP was signaling that it was moving ahead with full speed.
This is quite the turnaround.
Yes, because word has been spreading for some time, or whispered for some time, that SSP, the former Senior Superintendent of Police, was eyeing the seat or being tapped to go into Central Kingston. And before the afternoon was out, the PNP made it official that they are going to be installing SSP McGregor come Wednesday. And they are going to the constituency office at 14 North Avenue. That's an office that has been part of this story. Has it been vandalized or renovated?
That is truly the question, Mr. Hughes. We've heard both sides of that to suggest one or the other is possible, and we've yet to get the proper confirmation as to what you'd consider it vandalization or whether other steps were taken.
Yes, and we're going to take our first break, and when we come back, you'll hear more from the PNP, the disgruntled PNP supporters, and we'll give you a brief bio of who is Senior Superintendent Steve McGregor.
Clearing personal, non-commercial shipments at the port? Avoid the wait. Request a contactless clearance through your agent today. It's more efficient. It's secure. The time by the Jamaica Customs Agency is
5:44.
Since 1995, we've been your go-to source for everything related to billiards, amusement machines, and electronics. With locations at 1A Lindsay Terrace, Kingston 10, and the Village Plaza, Big Bridge, Savannah Lamar, we offer top-quality pool table parts and accessories, cutting-edge gaming machines, and more. We also specialize in assembly, sales, and service of amusement machines. We provide unmatched customer service, expert solutions, and products tailored to your needs. Who are we? We are Eclipse Enterprise. Telephone 876-960-3891.
Multi-link, access every time, everywhere I go. Multi-link, 24/7 access for me. It's just a win-win when we use multi-link. This card is Jamaican built, yeah. Fast and secure, you can use anywhere. Spend while supporting the economy.
Look for the multi-link logo on your card and benefit from Jamaica's largest debit payment network.
Multi-link, 24/7 access for me.
What would I do without my multi-link?
Welcome back, listeners and viewers, to the cover story. We're looking into this matter of Lawrence Rowe being replaced as a PNP's caretaker for Central Kingston. He was given the boot. I mean, it can't be put any more gentle than that, over the weekend, to be replaced now by former SSP Steve McGregor, who will now take up that position. And it has left a few feathers ruffled in the constituency, and we sent our reporters down there this morning to gauge the mood of constituencies, and supporters of the party have also accused the party secretariat of not consulting with them before the decision was taken to remove Rowe.
We are take to the road one day that week, yeah, or next week, we wait for us. We are going to take to the road. You're mad, we are going to block out a hero circle there, sir.
Tire, I go in on the road, and we're going to block the road. No Lawrence, no folk, no labor right around here. If I saw then, we're going to get the labor right there.
Yeah.
If I saw then.
If I saw then.
So we want to go vote for labor right there.
Night and day, sit down here, sir, with we. All through Thailand, him sit down with we.
And we respect him. We respect him.
Him know what pain, can be a long time with him.
All them are town, not narrator, him have to get it. So 100
what your pain and stress at him.
One thing I tell the party leader, straighten up your thing. No Lawrence Rowe in Central Kingston, no vote.
Then we're going to lose Central Kingston again. You know, get back to the same labor right. It's not every day only change up. I don't say Porsche never win. Because if you talk to them full in this,
who was Central Kingston, so Lawrence, man? Who was Central Kingston?
About 96% can say.
Right, watch the moment. Big man thing. Normally people that say they want money. Because politics want money. And the man now no money. And people still are giving the love. So pray them thing. And I must really out. Facts alive, man. No Lawrence to vote now.
Or you are going to put in peace and you no concern we. You no come to we. You no say no to me. And you just say somebody. And Mr. Mark Pauline need to come around here too. And come find out from the people. Right? Because it's not the first. This happen and make Labour right take over. We not go under it. No more. No more. It stop right here.
Come like Central
Lawrence.
Nobody run a Central King. So let's go behind your back and just go do nothing and then we
if you go further, you go get Lawrence. And if you go round, you go get Lawrence. So we don't know what.
You're listening to disgruntled PNP supporters in Central Kingston today venting against their party for removing Lawrence Rowe as a constituency caretaker. And we should say, Siobhan, listeners, we've been here before, yes,
Precisely.
where a party makes a decision and you get this kind of reaction. Because part of what is being said quietly is that the PNP did its own soundings and polling in Central Kingston, and what they were picking up was that the constituency organization of PNP supporters in the constituency was divided. Yes, they were not united in coming in support of Rowe, and the party felt that he could not unify the party, and they need a united PNP because it's now a marginal seat. It is a seat that can go either way. Imani Duncan lost it by what, 300 votes, 400 votes?
Yes, a little over 300 votes.
Yes, so they need every possible voter, yes, who leans PNP to be on board, and that would have been concentrating the minds of
Mr. Golding and his executive.
And Dayton Campbell.
Yes.
So, but clearly, Lawrence has his
supporters, but
core of support. The question facing them now: will McGregor be able to win over these disgruntled comrades?
And that will remain to be seen. I believe they have that the 15th of January. He'll have his first shot.
When's it coming?
Yes, he'll have his first shot to convince them. But regardless of what you may think, the People's National Party does not act on a whim. And while they have not provided us with the full upfront reasoning as to why they've felt that Mr. Rowe should be replaced, certainly they have done their calculations and they believe that they cannot go ahead with the gentleman, and they feel they have to pivot into a different direction. And as you pointed out, the history of Central Kingston, a seat that would be considered before 2020 firmly
safe PNP
in the PNP's camp.
Yes.
And we know that this election is make or break for both political parties, and they cannot leave anything to chance.
Well, the supporters were adamant that there will be problems for the PNP if Rose is not on the ballot.
It don't look good, It don't really look good because right now them say Lawrence now, round them now, give him no chance. Round there are four others, inter people them a bring come for run round here, and the people them a say for no row, them now stand up, them now vote for nobody else, a problem, and them need it for a fix and dress because them really right now, it no look good. It no look good for Lawrence side right now, and the people them no like it.
So you think him do good work in the area?
Yeah, him do a lot of good things in here, miss. All we need him to get a blind, miss, for see where him can do more in the community. And enough local thing Lawrence doing that sound, miss, and we love that, We love it, that's why we have plan to give the youth the blind, if they fit even gonna cost money for you go vote, we they have to go give him the blind.
So tell me some of the things he would have done in the area.
Well, him plan is miss, cause me sit down with him as a local MP we say I come try do the thing, and me sit down with him, talk to him and them thing there. Him say a lot of things in Alman Town I want to really deal with for the youth them in some moment. We not have nothing to deal with all MP when me say come them on go just talk and this and that, and when them win, me not see nothing set mommy, nothing set for the youth them round here, no. I said, well, let's say Lawrence plan for come do it, mommy. Me not ask no cries, cause them youth they sit down with me and show the elevator say, yo, we need some things in the place, so I got some things that you can get job and you would some elevate up some things in the place. That's the youth them can say, yeah, the thing are going proper, the way we want it for go on. You don't see it happen, mommy. You don't see it happen.
And you said that persons are planning to protest.
Yeah, them are protest because a Lawrence we need, mommy, and him them want, mommy. And without Lawrence, it will cause problem around here, it will cause problem, me I tell you, mommy. It will cause a lot of problem. Because him them want, them go out to them for protest him. And them say a 4 new person, them bring come around here for run. You understand? So, I don't know what is it. I'm waiting to see him because I don't even see him yet come out from morning.
That's PNP supporter in Central Kingston expressing his support for the outgoing caretaker Lawrence Rowe. Well, speaking with our reporter Khaleesi Wright, she was on the ground this Monday morning. She spoke to other residents who commended Rowe for the work he's been doing in the area.
No Lawrence, no election, nothing around here. That I tell you. Matter of fact, them can't carry in a man that we don't know him from. Me don't know him, so I can tell you who me don't know about. I know about Lawrence. I don't know about them little follower there. I know about Lawrence, I don't know about them. Even if the youth not do good work in the area, is a youth will live in the area. So I work on nothing of this. I do this. That me I try to show up on the work. Him live in a community, and at first, all man town, it is come like history the youth say. Ask any one of them big money boy, when we have our own people, we live in a man town and say, yeah, them are different. Ask one of them elder. First, look at youth, I do it to them, give the youth a break, brother, and go at them, look at one this, brother. No, Lawrence, none of them can win now. They say if him not do it round.
All right, so there you have it, the message very clear from the disgruntled PNP supporters. Well, who is Senior Superintendent Steve McGregor? This afternoon, the PNP announced that it was going to present SSP McGregor this Wednesday, January 15, to the constituency of Central Kingston. He is retired from the Jamaica Constabulary Force. He retired in January last year after serving for more than 40 years. He left the force as the operations officer for Area 4. He's a graduate of Kingston College and joined the force, that's a JCF, at 18 years old.
While on the force, McGregor played a key role in transforming the Rockford community, which had experienced a surge in crime before his arrival. According to the JCF, he launched the first Safe Community program in Bel-Air St. Anne, served as General Secretary of the Jamaica Police Federation in 1996, and received his first LASCO award in 2000, followed by a national award in 2015. SSP McGregor has worked in all geographic divisions within the corporate area, such as the then Mobile Reserve, Motorized Patrol, Community Safety and Security Branch, and Strategic Operations.
SSP McGregor also served as head of the St. James Police Division twice. McGregor also headed the Kingston Central, Kingston Western, and St. Andrews South Police Divisions. After leaving the JCF in 2024, he was appointed the Director of Security at the University of the West Indies Mona campus in August.
At the time of his retirement last year, when he was asked about rumors that he was entering representational politics, SSP McGregor told us that he would consider serving his country.
I have interest in the betterment of my country. I believe in working with people. I believe in doing things to, if anything like that drags me anywhere, I might have that inkling, because I think that I am a leader. I've exerted myself in that way, and I've stepped forward in a way to show that I have that kind of leadership skills. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
That was last year when he was speaking with us, yes, being coy and not really going down the wicket. Well, his name has been constantly referred to, and now we have it, that he is going to be the PNP standard bearer for Central Kingston. He will have a tough job ahead of him in terms of uniting the party in Central Kingston in time to win the seat come election day.
That's right, Cliff. But it should be known that Mr. McGregor, he is a known individual. He has a reputation as a fierce police officer, a fighter of crime, and I suspect, considering where he's being sent, because it's an area that Mr. McGregor knows quite well in terms of his portfolio over at the JCF, so I don't think it should come too much as a shock to listeners that he is someone who's tapped to take up that very critical Central Kingston caretakership.
Yes. He knows this city very well. He has worked in Central Kingston. He has worked far east as Rockfort, Kingston West. So he knows, yes, the streets well. Yeah.
And the people as well.
I'm not so sure about that part. Yeah. But what is clear, yeah, is that he has an interest in the politics. Yes. This is not an overnight decision.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
As much as it seems on paper to be a very rapid decision, it would be certain that this was in contemplation for months.
Yes. Okay. All right. So there you have it. SSP Steve McGregor is going to Central Kingston to represent the People's National Party on following that weekend, the last weekend, when Lawrence Rowe was booted, and we learned of the hush money, $15 million to keep quiet. Yeah, according to Rowe, he was offered, yeah, to keep quiet, $15 million, a Senate appointment, and a board directorship of a state housing agency. It is almost 6 o'clock.
And we still await the People's National Party's response to those allegations.
They have not responded to those allegations. Yes? And the longer they take to respond, it is becoming more deafening. That's a cover story. The headlines are next.
Cover Story was brought to you by
Multilink. Roll with control. Use Multilink. Safe, fast, and accepted in more locations.
Do you remember this?
We are having an earthquake. Oh, God.
Don't worry, we never forget it. But in all seriousness, earthquakes are deemed the most dangerous natural disaster. We can never predict when one will hit our lovely Jamaica. But we can raise awareness and help you to prepare for one with our radio segment known as Seismic Dialogue. Tune in to the Seismic Dialogue every Monday at 7 p.m. during Nationwide at 5. We'll have discussions, listener interactions, and more. That's the Seismic Dialogue. Mondays at 7 p.m. during Nationwide at 5. Preparedness is key. Secure what matters, have a plan, and remain calm when the ground shakes. Brought to you by Digital Commodities, Conrad Douglas and Associates Limited, and Coast to Coast Concrete Company Limited.
The time brought to you by Guardian Life. Live secure, live easy is 6:01.
Nationwide headlines at 6.
Good evening, with the headlines at 6, I'm Nora Gay Banton. The People's National Party PNP has announced that officials of the party will join local representatives in Central Kingston to present a former Senior Superintendent of Police, Steve McGregor, as the party's new prospective parliamentary candidate on Wednesday, January 15. It is set to be held at the PNP's constituency office on 14 North Avenue in Kingston. This follows official word from the PNP on the weekend confirming that Lawrence Rowe would no longer be its standard bearer. The PNP's disclosure on January 11 is causing discontent among some PNP supporters and residents in the constituency. Some PNP supporters in the constituency are vowing to paint the party's office green.
No place can't go on. Because Lawrence, everybody know Lawrence, right? And him know how to deal with people. Because we understand him and him understand we too. So without Lawrence, is no vote. And it can't be no vote because we're going to paint up the office in a green. Ever so then. So that's that me feel about the thing. Because we know Lawrence for years, and I see in a community man, so everybody will work with him. Nobody not big over Lawrence. If Lawrence is right, we listen.
They also say they'll not vote if Lawrence Rowe is not reinstated as caretaker.
It don't really look good because right now them say Lawrence now run them now give him no chance. Round there 4 others inter people them a bring come for run round here, and the people them a say for no row, them now stand up, them now vote for nobody else. A problem.
A few JLP supporters also spoke against the PNP's decision to replace Rowe as the candidate for the constituency. Meanwhile, member of the JLP Communication Task Force, Marlon Morgan, has described the allegations made by the former PNP caretaker for Central Kingston, Lawrence Rowe, as the PNP's willingness to breach the principles of good governance. He's reacting to allegations made by Rowe that opposition leader Mark Golding offered him $15 million in resources, along with a seat in the Senate and an appointment to a government board if he goes quietly.
The allegations made by Lawrence Rowe constitute a disclosure which confirms the PNP's willingness to use corrupt means and breach good governance in its desperate attempt to secure state power. The PNP's leadership and Mayor of Kingston, Andrew Swaby, have serious questions to answer, as they have not credibly disavowed the allegations made by Lawrence Rowe. Notwithstanding any attempt to refute the allegations made by Lawrence Rowe, the Jamaican people would be hard-pressed to derive any assurance that the absence of any further pushback from Lawrence Rowe has not been brought about by his silence being bought.
Last weekend, an official release came from the PNP informing the public that Rowe would no longer be the caretaker for Central Kingston. Morgan notes that the alleged actions of the PNP's leadership raise several questions, including whether the PNP has made negotiations like these before with other persons.
Opposition leader Mark Golding is on record indicating his intention to form government with a top-and-array set of people around him. While the public may now deduce that Lawrence Rowe is not top-and-array enough, the real questions that arise are, how many of its decisions does the PNP make in the manner alleged by Lawrence Rowe? Is the KSAMC being used to advance the partisan political interests of PNP caretakers rather than serving the people of the municipality? Are there other persons with whom the PNP has similarly negotiated? And what monetary compensation or reward or indeed position in a future PNP administration have these persons been promised?
Marlon Morgan, member of the JLP Communication Task Force. In other news, 34 murders have been recorded in the country in the first 11 days of the year. That's according to statistics published by the Jamaica Constabulary Force, JCF, on its website. This represents 8 more homicides when compared to the corresponding period in 2024. The St. Catherine South and St. Andrew South Police Divisions both recorded 5 murders. The Kingston Western and St. Andrew Central Police Divisions have seen 4 homicides each, and St. Mary 3. As a result, 48-hour curfews have been imposed in St. Andrew South, Kingston Western, St. Andrew Central, and St. Catherine South. The measures took effect at 6 p.m. on Sunday and will remain in place until 6 p.m. on Tuesday. And the Indicom Commission of Investigation The Independent Commission of Investigations, Indicom, is reporting that 8 people have been fatally shot by the security forces since the start of the year. Against this background, Commissioner of Indicom, Hugh Faulkner, is reiterating his call for the deployment of body-worn cameras by the security forces. Of Indicom, Hugh Faulkner, is stressing the importance of body-worn cameras for members of the security forces.
Comparatively speaking, 2024 January had 13 fatalities by the security forces. 2025 at the 13th of January, we have witnessed 8 fatalities. Statistically, the data seems to be just about on par. However, any conversation about fatalities by the security forces must raise the matter of the deployment of body-worn cameras. This essential device will raise the levels of accountability and transparency.
Mr. Faulkner points out that in 2024, rulings were handed down by the country's chief prosecutorial body for charges to be brought against 8 members of the security forces.
In 2024, the DPP ruled in 8 cases for officers to be charged for murder and fatal shooting cases. In one instance of the 2024 rulings, the concerned officer was a JDF soldier, and in the other 7 cases, the officers were from the JCF.
Hugh Faulkner, Commissioner of Indicom. Those were the headlines at 6. I'm Nora Gay. Banton Sports is next.
For all your electrical needs, visit ABC Electrical Sales. They stock a wide variety of electrical supplies including plugs, switches, panel boards and conduits, plus energy-saving fixtures. ABC Electrical Sales stocks brands like GE, Siemens, Philips, Cutler Hammer and Allen Bradley. They also offer free island-wide delivery just to suit your needs. Visit them at Shop 8, Hagley Park Plaza, Kingston 10 or call 876-754-3714-5 or 876-754-3825-8. ABC Electrical Sales for a better choice in the electrical business.
Do you remember this?
We are having an earthquake. Oh, God.
Don't worry, we never forget it. But in all seriousness, earthquakes are deemed the most dangerous natural disaster. We can never predict when one will hit our lovely Jamaica. But we can raise awareness and help you to prepare for one with our radio segment known as Seismic Dialogue. Tune in to the Seismic Dialogue every Monday at 7 p.m. during Nationwide at 5. We'll have discussions, listener interactions, and more. That's the Seismic Dialogue. Mondays at 7 p.m. during Nationwide at 5. Preparedness is key. Secure what matters, have a plan, and remain calm when the ground shakes. Brought to you by Digital Commodities, Conrad Douglas and Associates Limited, and Coast to Coast Concrete Company Limited.
Are you ready for it?
Revo. Coming soon.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Sports here on Nationwide 90 FM. I'm Wayne Walker. Nationwide Sports understands that World Under-20 champion Jamaica's Alana Reid has left the Star Athletics Club to join hurdles mechanic based at the University of Arkansas. Reid made a shocking move in October of 2023 to start training under the guidance of Dennis Mitchell, who is also the coach of Shakira Richardson at the Florida-based Star Athletics Track Club. In 1 year of working with the respected coach, the 19-year-old won the 100 and 4x100 meters gold at the Under-20 Championships in Lima, Peru last year, and she ran a season's best time of 11.06. Reid also competed in the 4x100 meters relay at the Paris 2024 Olympic Games as part of the Jamaica team that placed 5th overall. Reid has 100 meters personal best of 10.92 seconds in her final year at the Champs, and it stands as a national under-20 record. She also has a 200 meters lifetime best of 22.95, set winning bronze at the 2022 World Under-20 Championships in Cali, Colombia. At Hurdles Mechanics, Reid will join a talented and experienced group that has fellow Jamaican stars and national champions Akira Nugent and Nikisha Price, as well as the Paris Olympics medalists such as Alexis Holmes, Amber Aining, and Anna Cockrell. Leaders and former champions Mount Pleasant Academy, they are leading Racing United by 2-0 at sports time in their Ray and Nephew Jamaica Premier League clash at the Tony Spalding Sports Complex. Shaquille Bradford scored his 8th goal of the season in the 9th minute to give Mount Pleasant the lead before Raheem Edwards scored a second close to the break. Coming up in the feature game at 7:45, Montego Bay United will square off with Arnett Gardens. The West Indies will now turn their attention to the 2-test series against Pakistan following their drawn 3-day practice match against the Shaheen 11 on Sunday. The Windies made 346 for 8 declared in their first innings and 177 for 5 declared in the second, while the bowlers took 11 wickets in 2 overs. Vice captain of the West Indies, Joshua De Silva, says the players benefited from the time in the middle.
Time in the middle is exceptional for the boys who did, and some boys didn't, which is expected. Well, not expected, but it happens. It's cricket. Not everybody's going to have the best game every time. If it was, we'll win everything. So for us, it's just about taking those learning experiences and going back in the nets in the next couple of days and getting ready for the test in Malta.
De Silva says the players will receive well-needed rest and recovery.
A good rest day. We have to travel tomorrow, our flight, so it's some rest after that, and then prepare for the 2 days after that for the test series. Probably one hard session and then a light one before the test series.
Joshua De Silva. And talking about De Silva, veteran cricket commentator Joseph Verts Pereira says he would leave De Silva out of the 11 for the first test starting January 17. De Silva made 22 and 13 in the West Indies practice match against the Shaheens. Pereira says being vice captain is not enough reason to be selected.
Well, I can only pick this team on the form showed in Pakistan in the 3-day game. And my side will be Bradford captain, Louis his co-opener, Hodge at number 3, Atenes at 4, Django test cap at 5, Imlach test cap at 6, the all-rounder Graves comes in at 7, and then you have the all-rounder Sinclair with his off-spin, bats quite decently, Moti, Roach, and Seals. That will be my 11 based on form. Now, I've taken the bold decision not to pick De Silva. He didn't have a good recent tour with the Bangladeshis coming to the West Indies, didn't get runs in the practice game, and sometimes you just can't get picked because you are the vice captain. And there's a precedent where a vice captain in Australia was not chosen for a test match.
Joseph Verts Pereira. West Indies under-19 women beat Nepal by 9 runs in their ICC under-19 Women's T20 World Cup warm-up game in Malaysia today. Batting first, the young West Indies made 109 for 4 off their 20 overs. Samara Ramnath made 25, Alasbi Calendar 23, and Jazara Claxton 22 not out. In response, Nepal were bowled out for 100 in 19 overs and the ball. Simana Casey made 23. Trisha Hardat, Aliyah Weeks, and Amia Gilbert took 2 wickets apiece. The West Indies will face New Zealand in their second warm-up game on Tuesday. The International Olympic Committee says it will present a new set of medals to multiple Olympic swimming medalist Gary Hall Jr. of the United States after the 10 medals he won at the 3 Olympic Games were destroyed in the Los Angeles wildfire. Hall had to evacuate from his home in Pacific Palisades last week as fire swept through the neighborhood. He said he fled, taking only his dog, the insulin he uses to treat his diabetes, a painting of his grandfather, and a religious artifact. The 50-year-old was able to return to the house to get the 5 medals, 3 silver, 5 gold, and 2 bronze medals he won at the 1996, 2000, and 2004 games. Hall ran into the house during the blaze and says if he could have stayed another 30 seconds longer, he probably could have got the medals, but he added that he wasn't willing to take that risk. President of the IOC, Thomas Bach, said today that Hall will be given replica medals. Los Angeles Lakers coach J.G. Redick also had his house destroyed in the Palisades fire. The NBA had postponed the Lakers game against the Charlotte Hornets on Thursday and called off their showdown against the Clippers on Saturday, saying they did not want to divert resources from the wildfire response. Coach of Jamaica's senior netball team, Sasha Gay Henry, and her South African counterpart, Jenny Van Dyke, are both aiming for a sweep of their 3-match international netball series. The teams will be competing for the Margaret Beckford Trophy at the National Indoor Sports Centre on January 18, 22 and 25. Henry says the Sunshine Girls, who are still on a high from defeating England, have all the tools to win the series by 3-0.
I'm just as enthused as the players. I'm excited that, they are so enthused about it, about the performance, about fixing some of the things that we have not done properly, and just to build on what we have done against England. So I'm quite excited, just as the girls are.
Sasha Gay Henry. Van Dyke was brimming with expectations for a sweep as well.
We always go for the win. I would not be the national coach if we would step onto court and not want to win. It's important for us as a country. We love to win. So for us, we're going for 3 wins at the end of the day. We know we have respect and we know exactly what we're up against. But we want to bring a competitive game, and we have done our homework. So that's what we're aiming for.
Jenny Van Dyke. Finally in sports at this time, former world heavyweight champion Tyson Fury has announced his retirement from boxing. Fury last fought in December when he lost his rematch against the WBA, the WBC and WBO champion Alexander Usyk. The 36-year-old Fury previously announced his retirement after beating Dylan White in April of 2022, but returned 6 months later. The Brit has enjoyed 2 stints as heavyweight champion of the world, and he holds a record 34 wins, 2 defeats and a draw.
Hi everybody, I'm going to make this short and sweet. I'd like to announce my retirement from boxing. It's been a blast. I've loved every single minute of it, and I'm going to end with this. Dick Turpin wore a mask. God bless everybody. See you on the other side. Get up!
That's Tyson Fury. The Brit shocked long-reigning world champion Vladimir Klitschko in 2015 to win the WBA, IBF, WBO, IBO, and the ring heavyweight titles after 2.5 years out of the ring, during which he tackled mental health issues. Fury returned to action in 2018 and became a 2-time champion by beating Deontay Wilder to claim the WBC belt in 2020. At sports.
For all your scales and food processing equipment, call Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited at 876-968-9612-5. The time by Advanced Scales and Equipment Limited is
6:19.
Visit Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore, for all your prescription needs, gifts, personal care, household, and stationery items. The temperature by Marshall's Pharmacy, Greater Portmore is
29 degrees Celsius here in the nation's capital, Kingston. It's 28 in the western city, Montego Bay.
We are the best at what we do. At Hose Assembly and Supply Limited, we supply hose fittings and tools. We guarantee we can't be beaten when price and quality are combined. You brand us the Hose and Tool Boss because we deliver the most effective industrial solutions. Come in and experience the joy of shopping with Hose Assembly and Supply Limited. Call us 876-923-3936 or visit 173 Hagley Park Road, 2 Charlesworth Crescent or Montego Bay Trade Center. Hose Assembly and Supply Limited. More than just hoses. Now open every Sunday.
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, "By God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path." Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's Word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis. Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis. Weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The rebroadcast of the Oasis can be heard weekdays at 5:45 a.m.
It's Monday, get over your blues. Or
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. The E-Zone is here for you. With the Stinger Honeybee
and Curry Boyatings
from 3 to 5 p.m. on Nationwide 90 FM.
We've got your entertainment news.
Then we want to hear your views. What you said?
Jump in the mix.
Or the hot seat.
Don't miss our brain busters.
Or the crazy giveaways.
Let's talk fashion.
Send us your outfit of the day. Ooh, cutesy. Very demure.
Are you looking for love?
Come on one of our blind dates. Send your request to ezoneblindates@gmail.com. That's ezoneblindates@gmail.com.
And stay tuned for your confessions.
These are my confessions. Share them with us at ezoneconfessions@yahoo.com. I mean, is this planet Earth?
Is it?
I don't know. Let me check. Either way, it's got a buzz.
And a bugger thing.
Ow! Ow!
Public Opinion is brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Good evening, and welcome to Public Opinion. I'm Robianne Williams. Special good evening to our YouTubers. Yep, the YouTube family. Thank you so much for tuning in, for viewing us live. We ask you to weigh in live in the comments section on today's Public Opinion. And what a weekend it has been. Yeah? Let's get to it. The People's National Party, PNP, has announced that officials of the party will join local representatives in central Kingston to present a former senior superintendent of police, that's Steve McGregor, as the constituency's new prospective parliamentary candidate on Wednesday, January 15. It is set to be held at the PNP's constituency office on 14 North Avenue in central Kingston. Now, this follows official word from the PNP over the weekend confirming that Lawrence Rowe would no longer be its standard bearer, but it appears there's a little bit of tension. Rowe alleges that opposition leader Mark Golding offered him $15 million in resources, along with a seat in the Senate and appointment to a government board if he goes quietly. Now, the PNP disclosed on January 11 that Rowe will no longer be the caretaker, and it has caused discontent among some PNP supporters and residents in the constituency. Some of them in the constituency are vowing to paint the party's office green.
No place can't go on. Lawrence, everybody know Lawrence, right? And him know how to deal with people. Because we understand him and him understand we too. So without Lawrence, is no vote. And it can't be no vote because we're going to paint up the office in a green. Ever sudden. So that's that me feel about the thing. Because we know Lawrence for years and I see in a community, man, so everybody will work with him. Nobody in a big over Lawrence. If Lawrence is right, we listen.
Indeed. So, in Public Opinion, we're putting the question to you this evening. What's your reaction to Lawrence Rowe's removal as PNP caretaker for Central Kingston? I'll start with the comments on our X platform. Let's see. Voice of Truth is saying Golding must resign under the latest scandal rocking the PNP. Bad Influence is saying, over the years, I have seen people leaving cozy corporate jobs to enter political fray, and I always ask myself, what can go so? No, I am having a better understanding of what goes on behind the scenes. Yeah, let me see if I can get in Truth Matters JA saying it's just a reminder. All right, he's saying that Golding should resign. Diva Lady saying that it's a low down and disgraceful act. This is surely a hush money scandal. What a shame. Shanae saying not shocked one bit. The PNP not shocked one bit. Bear with me. These are comments of the public, members of the public. It's Public Opinion, and me have to sift through them. Yeah. Let's see. Lorraine Young believes it's a 3-card trick. Yeah. And Stryker believes it's typical PNP internal politics. Andre Lawrence is saying, I don't care about the PNP or their politics, but their disregard for the people they claim to represent is alarming. Rick Bennett is saying it's very bad. All right, moving to the comments on our Facebook platform, where Cheryl Griffiths is saying another young black Jamaican emasculated. Okay. Dwight Venn saying free to do whatever. but selling Senate seat for 15, and these are allegations. He's saying that it's poor and disgraceful. Let me see if I can get Cleveland Richards saying that's the way PNP treat poor Jamaican because Lawrence is not a Tapanaris. Okay. Let me see if I can have a few more in. Colin Flowers saying his removal is not my concern. The blatant allegations. Yeah. The blatant allegations used in the process is very disturbing. Allegations. We must point that out. Let me see if I can get in a few more. Michelle Bernard says, I don't care about his removal. Yeah, I don't care about his removal. Cutting deal with him, promising him Senate seat along with 15 million once he give it up. And there's a question sign there. I must point out again that these are allegations by Lawrence Rowe. Jeffrey Clive is saying that it doesn't matter. They are just shoring up that division with Steve McGregor. Trevor Spooner saying, just goes to show exactly what the PNP is all about. Marvin Reed saying, this matter must be thoroughly investigated by the Integrity Commission and the Electoral Commission of Jamaica as the matter of urgency, or democracy should not be for sale. Neil Walters is saying it's not rocket science. The hypocrisy of what it will be like should in case. All right. Michael Fraser is saying the awesome one, Steve McGregor, man of class, substance and integrity, will be presented by the party leader Mark Golding on Wednesday. No time for foolishness around here. All right, let me see if I can get in some more. Laverne is saying he's not the first and certainly won't be the last on either side. Daniel Richards said them lucky. So too saying Fabian Smith, them lucky. All right, let me see if I can get to the comments on our YouTube platform. Yeah, let's see what's happening over there on our YouTube platform. The comments are coming in. Let me give it some little time for settle. Carlene Smith says, put in a green door and green window. John Clark, no surprise of the People's National Party. Let me see if I can get in some more. The PNP is always like this, says Grant A. Carlene Smith says Jamaica is not for sale. Yeah. I see someone here saying paint the office in green, Gordon Dixon. Let me see if I can get in a few more. Some of the non-libelous ones. Yeah. All right, back to our Facebook. Xavier Chin said time come with a laughing emoji. Arlene Kelly said things falling apart. The center cannot hold. Elorita Mitchell, political party removed and replaced candidates all the time. The most concerning is blatant act of alleged corruption outlined by Mr. Rowe. All right, let me see. Tony Day says so slave. Okay, no, can't do that one. And Cleon Spence say a for them business. That a for them business, yeah? On our Instagram platform, let me see. Renz is saying if the man was not fit to be MP, why is he promised a Senate seat? Allegations there. Yeah. Trish is saying all I can say, yes, is poor Lawrence. Him a try and him get a fight in a one. Poor thing. McCurdy Joseph, I'm very concerned about the alleged offer he was made to vacate and who else get the same offer. Gloria Watson is saying that the silence is strange. May the good Lord protect us. Robert is saying it's a good move because the PNP have nowhere going. All right. Yeah. Dan Gabby is saying the party can remove people from positions. We have a very mature democracy and have no time for anyone who is willing to do corrupt things until they are ejected from any organization. This is not important in a country with our murder rate and lack of infrastructure. Yeah. Facey Michael, as the saying goes, cockroach no business in a full fight. Drink water and mind my business. Yeah? One Empress say all osa tumble down. All right, let me see if I can get a few more on our YouTube. Where's Carleen Smith? If I read the comments. Of course. Wise Emissary saying, sad story, what happened to Roe? Yeah. Denzel M, IC will never probe this scandal, neither will civil society. Donovan Walker is saying, people, the same thing was done to Craig Oates in Eastern Hanover. All right, a lot of comments coming in from who done it. The Integrity Commission should probe the hush money allegations, but the ICs are okay. All right, yeah. And Rohan is questioning seat for 15 mil. All right, a lot of comments coming in on this one. I tried to sift through the less libelous ones. Don't want to get in a problem. Thank you guys so much for participating in Public Opinion. Up next, the Business Report.
Public Opinion was brought to you by Cleasing Industrial Supplies Limited, Industrial Automation and Control Solutions.
Drive the most exciting new vehicles in Jamaica. Schedule your 2024 Ford Ranger pickup or Ford Everest 7-seater SUV test drive now. Call or visit KIG today.
The time by KIG is
6:33.
Annual eye examinations not only assess your vision but may be life-saving. Eye tests may detect serious health issues that go beyond your vision. Call IQ Optical to schedule your comprehensive eye test today.
The temperature by IQ Optical is
28 degrees Celsius in Kingston, 26 Southwest in Montego Bay. Hello, good evening, and welcome to Nationwide's Business Report. I'm Robianne Williams. An extraordinary general meeting to authorize the reorganization of the Barita Group is set for next Monday. According to Chief Executive Officer Designate of Barita Financial Holding Company, Dane Brodber, the reorganization will bring the entity in line with amendments made to the Banking Services Act.
January 20 meeting is going to be is very important. It's pivotal to our group. So according to the Banking Services Act, where there are more than one regulated entity, and it includes, and those include a deposit taking institution, the institutions are required to be organized under a licensed financial holding company. Mm-hmm. Right. So that is what we're doing on January 20. So the January 20 meeting will be for the shareholders to vote on the reorganization of the group.
Mr. Brodber sought to assure Barita shareholders that nothing will change for them.
For Barita shareholders, Barita and Cornerstone Trust and Merchant Bank will now be subsidiaries of the financial holding company, Barita Financial Group Limited. Now, importantly for shareholders, there's no change in value, there's no change in how the shareholders can trade their shares. What is happening is that
no dilution in the number of shares.
No dilution in the number of shares. Uh-huh. So what is happening is that there's going to be a financial holding company that will be the new parent company for Barita. Uh-huh. That financial holding company will be 100% owned by Barita's current parent company, Cornerstone Financial Holdings Limited. Uh-huh. So the beneficial ownership doesn't change. The ownership of the minority shareholders doesn't change. Nothing changes for the shareholders. What will change is that Barita will now be a part of a financial group organized under a financial holding company.
Dane Brodber, Chief Executive Officer Designate of Barita Financial Holding Company. Further afield, the U.S. is moving to impose tough new restrictions on the export of advanced computer chips and other artificial intelligence AI technology to dozens of countries. Officials say the new rules are intended to make sure the world's AI runs on American rails and keep it out of the hands of malicious actors who could use it to threaten the United States. The Biden administration said 18 allies and partners, including the UK, were exempt from the restrictions. The announcement, days before President Joe Biden is due to leave office, has drawn fierce criticism from some top U.S. tech companies who warn it will only aid competitors. And finally, in the currency markets at the close of trading today, it cost 156 Jamaican dollars and 95 cents to buy $1 US. It cost 189 Jamaican dollars and 67 cents to buy 1 British pound. and 109 Jamaican dollars and 58 cents to buy the Canadian dollar. That's the business report. I'm Robianne Williams. Good evening.
Excelsior Past Students Association Network of Champions cordially invites you to our 94th Annual Founders Day, Sunday, January 19th, 2025, under the theme, Honoring Our Legacy, Building Our Future. Church service commences at 9 a.m. in the auditorium, located at 137 Mountain View Avenue. Guest speaker, Bishop Dr. Marcel R. Fullwood, class of 1983, Partners Worship Center, Canada. Following the service, join us for brunch and entertainment at 11 a.m. in the auditorium. Entertainment by Harold Davis, Prilly Hamilton, Akeef Nugent, and Shanika Jeffrey. Contributions only $5,000. For further info, call us at 876-898-8294 or email xlcrpsasecretariat@yahoo.com. Don't you miss it.
The following earthquake tip is brought to you by Digital Commodities Limited. When choosing your home or business to rent or buy, check if the building is earthquake resistant per local building codes. The preceding earthquake tip was brought to you by Digital Commodities Limited. Telephone 876-960-8359.
Want to reduce your high electricity bills? Then Peak Energy has the solution for you. From grid tied to hybrid solar inverters with full lithium-ion battery pack. Installation and maintenance packages available. Visit us at Shop 1, 3 Mosquito Valley Road, Red Hill, St. Andrew. Call 876-279-8820 or 944-0668. Or email us at peakenergysolutionsja@gmail.com. Peak Energy for everything solar.
If it's in the public's interest, it's the nation's business during Nationwide at 5. The nation's business.
Do you remember this?
We're having an earthquake. Oh, God.
Don't worry, we never forget it. But in all seriousness, earthquakes are deemed the most dangerous natural disaster. We can never predict when one will hit our lovely Jamaica. But we can raise awareness and help you to prepare for one with our radio segment known as Seismic Dialogue. Tune in to the Seismic Dialogue every Monday at 7 p.m. during Nationwide at 5. We'll have discussions, listener interactions, and more. That's the Seismic Dialogue. Mondays at 7 p.m. during Nationwide at 5. Preparedness is key. Secure what matters, have a plan, and remain calm when the ground shakes. Brought to you by Digital Commodities, Conrad Douglas and Associates Limited, and Coast to Coast Concrete Company Limited.
Are you ready for it?
Revo. Coming soon.
Good afternoon, well, good evening rather, listeners and viewers. It's 6:40 and it is time for the nation's business. I'm Siobhan Campbell, soon to be joined by our veteran Emmy Award-winning journalist, Cliff Hughes. We are going to be talking about the Sparks program. Works Minister Robert Morgan says work under the government's $2 billion emergency road patching program will be intensified over the coming days. In a statement on Friday, Minister Morgan says the work will begin across all 14 parishes. Similarly, the National Works Agency says activities will be ramped up to fix roads in Clarendon, St. Catherine, and Kingston and St. Andrew. Minister Morgan says key roads slated for patching include those in St. Catharines, South and North, Maypen to Hayes, Freetown to Alley, Malines Road to Pennance to Frankfield, and Danks to Crofts Hill.
It also includes Spalding to Cave Valley, Maypen to South Sopturn, Maypen to Poors, James Hill Road, Spanish Town Road, Mannings Hill Road, Mountain View Avenue, East Kings House Road, Manley Boulevard, and Portmore. In the meantime, the state-owned petroleum refinery Petrojam has announced that it is set to be the exclusive supplier of bitumen for both the Reach and Spark Road programs. As part of the arrangement, Petrojam says it will supply more than 4 million litres of its high-quality bitumen. Bitumen is the binding agent used in the production of asphalt. Petrojam notes that it produces and supplies various grades of bitumen to local and overseas markets, including penetration and performance grade. It says both are manufactured to very strict industry standards.
The refinery says its bitumen has been used to pave the other major local roads in the island, including Highway 2000, Transjam Highway, and the Southern Coastal Highway. Petrojam's general manager, Telroy Morgan, says the company is also set to supply bitumen for the upcoming Montego Bay Bypass Road project.
So our supply of performance-grade bitumen is demonstrative of Petrojam's commitment to diversify our product offerings and delivering innovative solutions while supporting critical infrastructure needs. Building a reputation of supply reliability positions us to expand into new markets and promote brand Jamaica.
Telroy Morgan, General Manager of Petrojam. Petrojam says it has also supported runway resurfacing and expansion at Norman Manley and Sangster International Airports. Minister Morgan joins us now. Good evening, Minister.
Hi, Cliff, and is that Siobhan?
Yes, it is.
Good evening, Minister.
Good evening to you both, and good evening to your listeners.
All right. So you say this is the Spark program now, or the Reach program that will be intensified?
So there's two programs running concurrently, Cliff. The Spark would have started at Harbour Heights in East Kingston, and then we have the Reach, that is basically the emergency patching that is going on, as well as the normal Reach, which is the community roads in the various constituencies. We're going to be spending $10 million per constituency between now and March in terms of community roads, and we'll be spending $2 billion on main roads. And you would have listed some of the main roads that have already started, but we have a whole ton load that are going to be started over the next several days all across the island in every parish. But these are main roads. So I want to explain. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to give commuters a smooth ride on the main thoroughfare. So for example, imagine you coming from the airport and you want to reach Ligani. You'll come at the roundabout in Harbourview. You drive down Florizel, Glassfold, you turn right at the stoplight, and then you'd go to the stoplight at Mountain View. Come up Mountain View, you reach at the stadium, and you make a decision whether you go towards the Bustamante Children's Hospital side, or you make a decision to go to Hope Road, Lady Musgrave, or so on. Or if you're going on Manley Boulevard, you go straight downtown Ocean Boulevard, or so on. So the main roads is our priority for the emergency patching, where people drive. East Kings House Road, Barbican, Grand Stand, Shortwood Road, Maypen to Manchester Avenue, 4 Pass, Bustamante Highway, Lucy to Negril. Those sorts of roads, Grange Hill, Lucy to Negril to Grange Hill. Those are the roads that we're going to be focusing on the emergency patching. And we started in December. We took a little break because most of the plants were closed for Christmas Day, and now we're back on again.
So, and this is under both the Reach and the Spark?
No, man. Spark is the total rehabilitation. So we are going to do about 30 roads in the next 3 to 4 months. We started up by Harbour Heights, and we're prepping to do some more launches over the next couple of weeks. So it's two separate things. One is patching and one is total rehabilitation.
Got you.
reaches total rehabilitation, big massive budget, 40, 50, 60 million dollars per road, reaches patching, as you can see what we're doing on, let's say, East Kings House Road, what we're doing on Grandstand. There's something I want to say, though, and I see persons saying, why are we digging up Barbican and why are we digging up Constant Spring? Now, those roads were fixed under the MIDP, Major Infrastructure Development Program, which was run by China Harbour. Now, a part of MIDP is a thing called defects liability, where the road has essentially a warranty. So if the road starts to degrade before a particular time, then the contractor has an obligation to come in and repair it. Sections of Barbican and sections of Constant Spring started to degrade before time, so the contractor was obligated to come and do a thing called mill and paving. So milling is where they take a machine and they scrape off the upper layer of the asphalt, and then they repave it with fresh asphalt. Kind of like what we did on Grandstand Road, but that wasn't defects liability. That was just the reach emergency patching.
I see them doing the milling on Constant Spring Road, right in the vicinity of Manor Park, on the way to Long Lane. Yes, which takes me to the point, Minister. Red Gal Ring, that is posing quite a bit of problem, because just as you mount the hill, yes, past Red Gal Ring and go around that bend, that steep incline, that area broke away some time ago, and they've started to do work there now, and the traffic, they are now having to divert the traffic through the by roads, Hermitage Dam Road, Gibson, to get back onto Old Stone, Long Lane. But those roads can't take the traffic. And we have had several near misses. Yeah? I think you need a little bit more in terms of direction, yeah, for the motorists who don't know the area, and for those who need to take it easy to negotiate the much narrower roads.
I agree with you. That's something that we need to consider, but there's a little background to that collapse in Red Gal Ring. It's actually a culvert that has collapsed almost totally. So we're doing some patching along Long Lane, is it, right?
Long Lane,
right.
Yes.
And the contractor patched it, and we noticed it started to sink. And when we did our investigation, we realized that the entire culvert had collapsed. We had engaged a contractor to deal with it. That didn't work out. So we had to find another contractor who started work about a little bit before Christmas. So now what we're doing, because of the extensive damage and the risk to motorists in trying to navigate, because it's right on the corner.
Yes, it's dangerous.
So many persons would not know that there are workmen taking place, workmen there working. So what I'll do is I'll speak to NWA to see what we can do to assist motorists with the alternative routes, because we're really trying to do it quickly, but as you can imagine, culvert works do take some time to cure and so on.
And you know what has happened? I'm sure you didn't intend this. The road that they now have to use to divert the traffic from going up Long Lane, because of the increased use, part of that road is beginning to cave in.
You're talking Hermitage?
Hermitage Dam Road.
But is the cave in because of the use or because some contractor destroyed the road with their
No. That we are quite aware of. No, we're talking about a part of the road that was doing quite fine. Yeah, all of a sudden the increased traffic on it over the last several days, we now notice a part of it is beginning to cave.
So we'll definitely get the NWA to go and look at that, because if we are using it as an alternate route, then we have to ensure that it is in good condition, or it is left in good condition. So you don't have to. The residents can be assured that whatever damage they perceive or see, we will make the necessary adjustments to give them back their road.
Okay. Minister, I have two quick questions, one general, one more specific. In terms of the longevity of these patched roads, what is the expectation in terms of the need to then revisit them at a later date?
So we have to be realistic. if I have a road that is at end of life and develops a pothole, all right, let me give you an example. There's a reason why we had to mill and pave almost the entire grandstand. Because if we patch a section, we can almost guarantee that within 2 weeks another section will disintegrate. And that's the challenge with patching, right? Patching is not a long-term solution. Patching is a short-term solution. So we are basically looking at roads and see whether we can extend their life. Some of them are at end of life, some are not yet at end of life. So for example, East Kings House Road is not yet at end of life. So we can use patching to fix some of the potholes there. Roads like Spanish Town Road are at end of life. So you'll see a lot of milling and paving taking place on Spanish Town Road. So a lot of what we're doing on Spanish Town Road is not patching, because patching would not solve the problem. So a lot of persons, for example, Waltham Park Road, the intersection of Waltham Park and Aggie Park, we patched it last year. It started digging up again. We patched it to give motorists a temporary relief, but there's a major drain there that does not have the capacity to carry the water that is on the road constantly, right? So it has started to disintegrate again. But we would not have been able to fix that drain in a month. We would not have been able to procure the drain in a month. It takes a while. What do you do while the motorists are suffering? Do you say to yourself, let us spend $2 million and patch it? Or do you say, leave it alone, let the motorists suffer? These are difficult decisions that you have to make from a policy perspective. My decision is always going to be that the citizens should not suffer because of bad infrastructure. And if the money is there to try to even alleviate it for a couple months, we will try to alleviate it for a couple months. Yes, some persons are going to criticize and say, well, you just fixed the road last year and it is destroyed already. Yeah, but somebody's front end would have lasted a little bit longer. Somebody may have less tire bill to pay because we did do some work there. And remember, places like Aggie Park Road and Waltham carry thousands of vehicles per day. And if we can give some respite to the motoring public for even 2 months until we are able to put in a permanent solution, we will.
And the more specific one, Minister, because I believe I spoke to you about this one over the Christmas period, that bypass into Chapelton proper, where that road essentially has dropped off. Have they addressed that yet? While I appreciate that the bypass exists, a lot of people don't even realize that there's a bypass, and they try to get over what almost at this point seems to be a sheer cliff.
Well, we have put up signs there now, detour, but every time we block the road, some enterprising motorists remove the blockage. The fact is that drop is not going to be fixed now because there are clear geological problems. I mean, the older persons in the area would tell you that this is the third time in their lifetime that this is happening. There were rains for many months. And
it sounds like there's a fault line there.
Right.
If you saw it, definitely there's a fault line there.
Yeah, and it started to slide, and we have probably poured about 20 loads of sand into that area in an effort to keep the road. And we realized that wouldn't work, so we had to pave an alternative route on Hyman Street. That is going to take some time to fix, but there are alternate routes. A part of the challenge, however, is that a lot of the heavy-duty trucks that traverse from Maypen to St. Anne and St. James through the constituency, some of them may have challenges with the alternate routes, but the reality is the reality, and that is the challenge in infrastructure. We have to create the alternate routes, but it won't be satisfactory or easy for everyone.
Minister, let me ask you this. The road repairs now to intensify. What is your target? What is your overarching target, given a certain event looming?
So the road repair is not based on the event. The road repair is based on the need and the citizens' request. So there are at least 250, 300 main thoroughfares that require major improvement. What we have done is we have looked at the entire list. For example, there are 24 main roads, main thoroughfares in Manchester that require some work. We have picked out about 10 that are most critical that we'll be addressing. There are about 48, no, sorry, not 48, there are about the same amount in St. Elizabeth. We've picked out about 15 of them in St. Elizabeth that need, and we'll go across the country and we look for the road that the most people drive on. And let's look at Clarendon, Cliff, Maypen to Hayes, Freetown to Alley, Penance to Frankfield, Spalding to Cave Valley, Maypen to Porus, Jamesville Road, and those roads. Fogar Road to Milk River, which has Clarendon College and has Milk River Bath and have a lot of people from Yorktown and so on. Those are important. So the target is to create drivable thoroughfares for the majority of Jamaicans to get some respite. So we're already in the communities with Reach and Spark. Spark been patching in communities, each MP, over the last probably 4 months now has access to between $30 and $35 million to the road repairs in their constituencies. And then the NWA has another $1 billion normally to go in and do road repairs wherever. And then because of the great rains that we had, the Prime Minister, looking at the situation and looking at the devastation, since burial, ordered or gave the policy direction to the head of the NWA that this could be an emergency situation, and the head of the NWA would have looked at it and would have said, this is an emergency situation. Mm-hmm. And so that's the plan. I want to say this, Cliff, while persons may speculate about elections and so on, the question we must ask ourselves is, should we not fix the roads until after the election? People don't stop paying taxes because an election is coming. People don't stop going to work. People don't stop having to go about their business. And governments have a responsibility to provide the necessary respite and help to their citizens, regardless of the season. I don't know when the Prime Minister is going to call an election. He could call it next month. He could call it in 6 months. He could call it in September. I cannot depend on that to determine whether I'm going to do my job as a minister without a portfolio, to give the policy directive or to carry out the policy directive that the Prime Minister has given to cause the NWA to repair the roads.
Minister, Mark Golding recently gave quite a interesting assessment of the Spark and Reach program, suggesting the government is undertaking them now and undertaking these big projects as an attempt to get a kickback under the table, so to speak. In terms of accountability for those programs, I know the Auditor General is set to do her own reporting and checks. Has that begun, or is that going to be done at the end of the program?
I have three responses for that. The Spark program wasn't announced. No, it was announced actually 2 budgets ago by Nigel Clark. First spoke about it in 23-24 budget, and Prime Minister kicked it off in March 24-25, and we started the procurement in May. I wish that Spark had started last year. We in terms of early last year, we tried our very best. It was an international tender. It was very transparent. The elections didn't have anything to do with it. The leader of the opposition in his criticism is really not criticizing me or the Prime Minister, because the Prime Minister and I only announce policy. We do not pay anybody. We are not engineers. There's an entire procurement unit at the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation, and there's one also at the National Works Agency. There's a group of people called the Public Procurement Commission, which has persons from the private sector and the public sector. There are engineers and contractors who are members of the Master Builder Association, who participate in these programs, who bid for their contracts publicly through the papers, and who win their contracts and do their work, and the work is validated and they are paid. When the leader of the opposition says that these projects are created so we and our cronies can scrape, who are the cronies? Is he saying that the public sector workers are the cronies? Is it the Public Procurement Commission that are the cronies? Is it the engineers are the cronies? Is it the grade 1, grade 2 contractors? Some of them have been non-aligned to any political party. Some have been aligned to political parties. Some are agnostic to politics. Are they the cronies? And that's the problem with a scorched earth approach to politics, where because you're so desperate for power, you will even throw out the baby with the bathwater. You don't care about anyone's integrity. You don't care about anyone's reputation. You just want to win. So whatever you can say or do to cause you to be in power, as Mr. Pickersgill said, you will do it. The second thing is,
we are almost out of time. Could you wrap it up?
I'm sorry, Kip. My apologies.
Yes, we're out of time. We have another feature. We'll bring you back, Minister. Thank you very much.
I really appreciate the time. Thank you to your listeners, and thank you both.
Good. Robert Morgan is the Minister of Works. We're going to take a break. After we come back, a new feature. Yes, Seismic Dialogue. All about Earthquake Awareness Month, January. Are you ready for the shake?
GK1 now introduces third-party motor insurance from GK General Insurance. Download and log into the GK1 app, then select one of 3 affordable third-party options. The time by GK General Insurance is
2 minutes past 7.
It's flu season. Take DPH adult or children's formulation and eliminate your sniffling, coughing, sneezing, and itching. The temperature by DPH, minimize the symptoms, maximize the relief, is...
It's 28 degrees Celsius here in the capital city, Kingston, and 26 out west in Montego Bay.
The following earthquake tip is brought to you by Digital Commodities Limited. When the shaking stops, look around. If the building is damaged and there's a clear path to safety, leave the building and go to an open space away from damaged areas. The preceding earthquake tip was brought to you by Digital Commodities Limited. Telephone 876-960-8359. Do you remember this?
We're having an earthquake. Oh, God.
Don't worry, we never forget it. But in all seriousness, earthquakes are deemed the most dangerous natural disaster. We can never predict when one will hit our lovely Jamaica. But we can raise awareness and help you to prepare for one with our radio segment known as Seismic Dialogue. Tune in to the Seismic Dialogue every Monday at 7 p.m. during Nationwide at 5. We'll have discussions, listener interactions, and more. That's the Seismic Dialogue. Mondays at 7 p.m. during Nationwide at 5. Preparedness is key. Secure what matters, have a plan, and remain calm when the ground shakes. Brought to you by Digital Commodities, Conrad Douglas and Associates Limited, and Coast to Coast Concrete Company Limited.
It's Earthquake Awareness Month. We're raising awareness about earthquakes in the Seismic Dialogue. The Seismic Dialogue is brought to you by Digital Commodities, Conrad Douglas and Associates Limited, Coast to Coast Concrete Company Limited, and the Real Estate Board.
So there you have it. It's all about the Seismic Dialogue. We are observing January as Earthquake Awareness Month. We have been doing so for many, many years. And this year the theme is Prepare for the Quake, Reduce the Impact of the Shake. This year's theme highlights the importance of readiness and resilience. Yeah? And of course, for the duration of this month, we'll have this feature, Seismic Dialogue, every Monday evening at 7.
It's sponsored by Digital Commodities Limited, Conrad Douglas and Associates Limited, Coast to Coast Concrete Company Limited, and the Real Estate Board. The aim of this segment is to promote earthquake preparedness and safety. We'll be covering topics such as the importance of earthquake preparedness, key do's and don'ts during the earthquake, safety tips, and some earthquake drills.
This week, the focus is on education, public awareness, and preparedness. For this, we are being joined by the Director General of the Office of Disaster Preparedness and Emergency Management, ODPEM, Richard Thompson, and the Scientific Officer at the Earthquake Unit at the University of the West Indies, Mona Campus, Carleen Black. Good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, Sandra, and your listeners.
That's Siobhan and Cliff. Yeah.
Oh, Siobhan.
Siobhan and Cliff. Right. Well, let me begin with you, Richard Thompson. Earthquake Awareness Month. Your key objectives here now.
Well, key objective is always to ensure that we are sensitizing the public and getting persons to have an appreciation one and also to practice what is necessary if we should have a major earthquake. So a lot of it is around our public education campaign, ensuring that we are in the schools, places of worship, and other places that we always have mass gatherings. You know, because especially our most vulnerable type population, in terms of our schools, we have to ensure that we are sensitizing that group and allowing persons to have a great appreciation as to what is necessary when an earthquake happens.
Right. Carleen Black, you heard Richard Thompson saying what to do in the event of a major quake. How do you define a major quake in Jamaica?
Well, in the scheme of earthquakes, a major earthquake would be magnitude 7. So a major quake in Jamaica would be something of the strength of a Port Royal or a Kingston earthquake of 1907.
And what was the strength of those?
Well, they would have been, Kingston would have been around 6.9 or 7, and Port Royal would definitely have been a 7 or maybe a little bit more than 7. Unfortunately, in those periods, we didn't have any instruments to actually capture the data and, so we could have an actual epicenter and, magnitude.
Let me use the reference, the last significant shake we had. October 2022, just after 10 that morning, yes, when I was around this table, around this microphone, and this building started to shake. And they've now turned it into all kinds of things, laughing after me. But tell me, that was a 5.1, 5.2, yeah?
No, that was a 5.6.
5.6, okay, good. So a 7, yeah?
Yes.
We didn't have any much structural damage at all, no lives lost. A 7, no buildings brought down. A 7 would bring down buildings in Jamaica, wouldn't it?
It would possibly bring down the older type of buildings and buildings that were not built in recent years according to our building code. But pretty much if persons have been building their structures, whether it's multi-story or single-story structures, and following the building code, then those structures should be able to withstand the earthquake. Even if they sustain damage, we wouldn't expect them to collapse if they were built according to code.
Richard Thompson, in the case of a major earthquake, what would be these proper safety tips to take in terms of where does one go? And I suppose that would be dependent on where one is in terms of versus indoors and outdoors. Where do you situate yourself in the case of a major earthquake?
Well, it's not just for a major earthquake. It's also for your moderate shake, which your 5.6 was a moderate quake. So we normally say to persons, do what Cliff did in terms of getting under the desk, under a table, standing in your door jam. In North America, they don't practice that because their building system is a little bit different from ours. In our construction system, we have lintel beams running across the door jam, so it gives it some structural soundness. So those are some of the areas that you can stand in terms of the structure of the building, and under your desk or a table, a very sturdy desk, a very sturdy table. We always say to persons, if your desk is made of glass, you don't go under there, you find something else. You do your evacuation drill immediately after the shake stops. you use your staircase, and you try to avoid elevators, because those will go, especially in a major shake. Power tend to go. So you have to. That's the principle. If you're inside, if you're outside, and you're walking, you avoid where you have buildings, light poles, so you find a wide open space, and you should actually still crouch down, because what it does, during the vibration, it prevents you from being shaken off your feet. If you're driving,
Hold on, Richard. Say that again. If you're walking on the outside,
and you feel the quake, you actually still should find an open space and still crouch down, because if you're standing and you have a very severe earthquake, where the shake is heavy, you can be shaken off your feet. And then you can have the possibility that you can have some kind of injury, head injury, spinal injury, that kind of thing.
So, and describe that crouch that you should take.
So you would still up that drop cover all process where you get on your knees and you crouch down.
Yes.
You know, so you're literally preventing you're already on the ground, so you won't be shaken off your feet. If you're driving, you avoid your bridges. Those tend to go. Or if you have older structures, you avoid overpass. We don't have a lot of those in Jamaica, but we have some along the new highway roads that we have constructed in the past decade or so. So you avoid those, and you should stop in an open area as well. You know, so it's just to ensure that your car don't go off a bridge, or your car don't get trapped on the overpass. So overpass would be like those roads that run above the highway that goes, like if you're going on our not one that goes into Clarendon.
Yes.
So those roads that would take you from Spanish Town into Portmore.
Right, the Highway 2000.
And it's over, Highway 2000, and it's over the highway, you avoid those.
Yeah.
If you're in the 3 Mile area, you avoid going under that overpass as well in 3 Mile. So these are some of the things that persons have to practice.
And what if you are near a hillside?
If you're near a hillside, you try to avoid that as well, because you do have landslides as a secondary hazard after an earthquake. You know, because we have had in the past in Jamaica where we have had earthquake, and we have recorded on our earthquake logs landslides, like Judgment Cliff. It was said that during the Great Kingston earthquake that there was a major landslide in that area in St. Thomas.
Where's that?
So,
Judgment Cliff?
It's classic, yes, Judgment Cliff. So Mr. Black can give you a little bit more detail in terms of the history behind that, in terms of what was found in that area, where they say a large farm in St. Thomas actually was covered when the hillside came down.
Miss Black, where in St. Thomas is Judgment Cliff? Cliff again.
I can't tell you the exact tone, but it's somewhere along the Cane River. So that landslide would have with limestone area. So that landslide would have actually dammed the river. So there was temporarily a leak in that area. You know, so it's no joke.
Yes.
And I don't have all the details, but I once heard that the Fern Gully would have also had a similar landslide, but that did not dam up the Ryakobri as much as the Cane River would have been dammed to form a lake.
And Ms. Black, a lot of the times when you deal with what we consider minor tremors, minor quakes, it develops a bit of complacency in individuals, as in they just essentially freeze up and stay in place and ride it out. But I assume that a minor quake can quite quickly turn into a major one, and the same level of preparedness and response is required even for those minor tremors.
Well, yes and no. A minor quake wouldn't necessarily turn into a major earthquake, although you may initially mistake small level of shaking for a minor earthquake, but of course the shaking continues and magnifies, and only then do you realize it's a major event, such as was the case in Japan, in 2011. They have a more sophisticated automatic system, and initially when the shaking started, their system thought it was a magnitude 4 earthquake, because it reacts, within a few seconds. And then it kept upgrading until they got to magnitude 7, but it kept having to upgrade again because the shaking there lasted, in the epicentral area, it was about 6 minutes.
Wow.
Because it was for that one, it was a cascading effect. So you had multiple segments moving. So one moved and that destabilized the next segment, and it just kept going like that. As a matter of fact, the 2004 tsunami, that earthquake was a similar thing, and that cascaded for about 1,000 kilometers.
Wow. That's a Boxing Day quake.
Yes.
Of 2004. And in
2004.
And in those instances, Miss Black, people die mainly of cardiac failures, don't they?
Not necessarily. It all depends on how prepared the population is. Because, in the case of Japan, you didn't have that many cardiac failures during the earthquake or as a result of the earthquake.
Yes.
It was mainly from the tsunami and secondarily from those elderly or indigent persons who would have been trapped for prolonged periods without light, to give them the life-saving care, power to give them the life-saving care that they needed. So there were instances where by the time rescuers reached them, which would have been days later, there were persons who actually succumbed while they were being loaded into the ambulances to be transferred to another institution.
Which brings us back to the point why we're here. Because if we have a population that is sensitized, aware, then it reduces the propensity to panic. Yeah?
Yes.
Right, Richard?
Yes, it does. And that's why we are, there's a thing I always say to my team at the ODVEM that preparedness, and especially like for earthquake preparedness, it's like training fighter pilot. They say if in a dogfight, if you think you die, you just have to react. So your training allows you just to react. And in that, and so when you are trained and sensitized to that level, as what Ms. Black just said, it reduces that level of panic because you are able to
apply
and to function in that immediate situation.
How can we prepare our homes now, Richard, to better cope in an earthquake?
So part of it is one from the softer side. You develop your family plan, so you ensure that your family emergency plan is in place. You teach persons how to operate if there's an earthquake. What you do if you are there in the day, as opposed to what you do in the night when you don't, the lights are off. So most persons, you should know your space. One of the good practice for emergencies, and it's not only for earthquake, is if you should have a fire in your house. As well, you should know how to navigate your house in the dark.
Yes, you should know where the keys are.
You know where the keys are, know how to navigate your house in the dark. We always say to persons, for movement, if you have grills, ensure that a grill upstairs can be open. So if you have a situation where you downstairs is interrupted and you are unable to get out there if you are doing your evacuation, you're supposed to be able to go out through a window upstairs. And also ensuring that as well, that from a structural preparedness, you do your checks. If you have to do retrofitting to strengthen your homes, you do that. If you're building new homes, ensure that you apply the official development process that we have in Jamaica. So you do a design, you ensure that your design is done by someone who is reputable. You do you apply for your construction through the municipal corporation and the local authorities. That dependent on the type of construction that will go on to the National Environment and Planning Agency, and then you have a number of persons commenting based on their expertise on that application, including the ODPEM, and then you get a proper builder to construct, and ensuring that builder is abiding by the new modern code system that we have in Jamaica. And as what Ms. Black said earlier, that will now allow your house to withstand to some degree of intensity whenever there's an earthquake.
And just let me finish here, Siobhan. In terms of that home plan, know where your keys are, but also you should all have a predetermined place to head for.
Yes. So just like how you have at work your assembly area, you have the same at home.
Right.
So you know where is one of the most vacant area that the family can go, and you ensure that you account for everyone. And if you have elderly at home or persons who are shut-in, then you have someone who is assigned to that person. So once something happened, that person know that I am heading for grandma. That's my responsibility.
Exactly.
So you have that, and you do that at work as well. We have a lot of persons who have disabilities at work. You have offices that have pregnant women. You ensure that someone is assigned to those persons.
Okay.
So if something happens, you have a body system.
Yes.
And in terms of preparedness, we know generally what you should have in terms of an emergency kit, considering we do plan for things such as hurricanes and major storms. But is there anything specific that you should have as part of that kit in the instance of an earthquake?
It's not that different, because your kit is significantly for first aid. So at the office, you should ensure that you have a warden system. So your safety warden should have those kits. You have the same at home. We have been saying it in the past. Not many persons have it because it's a little bit expensive, but it is good to have. Like defibrillators, and persons should practice to use them. Because even Cliff spoke about earlier that some persons tend to go into cardiac arrest, and anything can happen. And so you have to have that. You have to have, as a part of your kit, you have your teams being trained in basic first aid.
Yeah.
So you know how to resuscitate persons, and you can give that immediate assistance until our emergency medical system can be triggered.
Well, Richard Thompson is ODPEM's boss. He's the Director General of ODPEM. And Carleen Black is with the Earthquake Unit. We're going to have you back, I'm sure, for a few more weeks before the end of January. But when we come back, I want us next week to talk about communication. I want to hear how are we in terms of the national telecoms system, Richard? Are we practicing? Are we up to speed? So that people can at least communicate with their loved ones during a big one, All right?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Thank you so much. Carleen Black, Richard Thompson. Thank you so much. Time for the break.
It's Earthquake Awareness Month. We're raising awareness about earthquakes in the seismic dialogue. The Seismic Dialogue was brought to you by Digital Commodities, Conrad Douglas and Associates Limited, Coast to Coast Concrete Company Limited, and the Real Estate Board.
Are you ready to turn your sales and marketing skills into high earnings? Nationwide 90 FM is searching for business development executives to help us grow our business and build lasting client relationships. If you have experience across all stages of the sales cycle and possess strong communication, negotiation, and time management skills with a proven sales track record, this opportunity is perfect for you. Join our team and work with the top corporate brands, media agencies, and of course, our on-air personalities. Enjoy networking opportunities, professional growth, and competitive commissions. Ready to take the next step? Send your resume to hr@nationwidenewsnetwork.com today.
Tune in to our program live from our YouTube channel, Nationwide 90 FM. And remember to like, subscribe, and share our content. And
Hi there. Here's some good news for these trying times. Quote, "By God's word, I can see where I'm going. They throw a beam of light on my dark path." Unquote. Psalm 119, verse 105. Listen for God's word weekdays at 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. through
Oasis. Stop by for a refreshing drink and share a God perspective for the day.
Oasis, weekdays 5:45 a.m. and 12:55 p.m. right here on Nationwide, a revolution in media.
The rebroadcast of the Oasis can be heard weekdays at 5:45 a.m.
Welcome back, listeners and viewers. We'll be taking your calls in a bit, but before we get to that, we still have one matter. The principals of one of the country's oldest investment firms, Berita, is defending the unwillingness of financial institutions to more readily pass on interest rate reductions to customers. Several stakeholders, including the BOJ, have raised concern over the slow pass-through as the central bank continues to lower its own rates in recent months. However, in an interview with Cliff Hughes, Chief Executive Officer Designate of Berita Financial Holdings, and Dane Brodber and Berita Chief Executive Officer Ramon Small Ferguson both sought to explain to Jamaicans the financial sector's rationalization, and they also touched on other matters of fiscal importance. Here is that interview.
Good evening. Let me begin by welcoming two of the principal managers, executives of Berita Investments Limited and Managing Director Berita Unit Trust Management Company Limited, Ramon Small Ferguson, as well as the CEO Designate of Berita Financial Group, the financial holding company, and acting CEO of Cornerstone Trust and Merchant Bank Limited, Dane Brodber. Gentlemen, welcome to Nationwide. Let me begin by asking you first, we're in a new year, 2025. A lot of anxieties in terms of what is likely to emerge this year, not only in Jamaica, but in the world. Jamaica is on the brink of a general election. That is usually a pivotal moment. And of course, we have new leadership in the world's greatest, largest, and most influential economy in President-elect Trump. Tell me, from where you sit, beginning with you, Dane, what are we likely to see, first of all, in Jamaica, in terms of inflation, fiscal, and monetary policies?
So in Jamaica, so we've seen where rates have started to decline. Inflation was an issue for the past couple of years. It's now a little bit more under control. So there's a general expectation that rates will continue to decline. The pace of it may be a little bit uncertain for this particular year, but that's largely what we expect locally. I mean, in terms of the change of leadership from a general election standpoint, I think we've kind of evolved to a state now where there's fairly good harmony in terms of the policy, particularly economic policies, more broad economic policies of the two political parties. So, in terms of what we expect from that standpoint, and there's general consensus, between political parties and within the private sector in terms of the general direction, that from a.
So you don't anticipate any major economic shift in terms of economic policies?
Not as a result of any potential change in leadership, not necessarily.
How do you see it, Ramon?
No, I agree with Dean. Read the local outlook. I mean, the fact is that fiscal policy is, I'd say, entrenched at this point in time. You're aware that we would have, coming out of the throes of the last IMF program, instituted a fiscal rule of law that has been complemented by the imposition of serious independent oversight with respect to fiscal matters. The Fiscal Council is now up and running. Mm-hmm. So against that backdrop, there is, in my mind, little risk that even a change in leadership would result in a derailing of the state of play as it relates to the fiscal situation. Monetary policy is becoming less tight, for sure. Dean mentioned the recent reduction in interest rates, and there is now more money in the system. So those two things, complemented by lower inflation, really do set a much more, I'd say, accommodative backdrop relative to probably when we're heading into 2024.
Mm-hmm. But let me ask you, there's a lot of debate over the pace at which consumers, will see reduction in rates. The Bank of Jamaica, the central bank, has been nudged to the point of saying publicly berating your sector for failing to really lower interest rates in keeping with their movements. Yeah? How do you see that? Are we likely, and when I say we, consumers, your clients, to see a significant movement in the lowering of rates in 2025, first, second, third, or fourth quarter?
So what I'd say, Cliff, is that, for sure, our institution and institutions like us are reviewing their lending rates. Now, what's important to note as well, though, is that as rates were rising, recall that benchmark rates moved from near 0% to 7% when interest rates were rising. And the pace of the increase in lending rates, for sure, didn't keep pace. That in fact, there was a bit of frustration around the fact that wasn't happening, because that was a part of what was expected to be an outcome of the rise in interest rates. So the pace of the increase in interest rates was somewhat tempered on the way up. And I think that while you will see adjustments in rates as rates continue to decline, but it's important to note that the pace of increases were tempered on the way up. So which is why you're seeing not as fast as a reaction in terms of a reaction on the way down.
Yeah, and Ramon, explain for the saver, the depositor out there, why it is prudent in terms of banking, why we don't see the rates coming down as quickly as they are now happening in terms of the BOJ movements. Because you have investments that you have locked in.
Yeah. No, it's a good question, Cliff. So, Dean spoke about the pace, but it's also the degree as well, right? So, in other words, rates went up from a benchmark perspective by almost 7%, right? At the same time, while certainly consumers would have seen incremental increases in their borrowing rates, so that's car loans, mortgages, certainly, if you're to look, it wasn't by 7%, right? In fact, many consumers probably would not have been able to withstand 7%, right? A mortgage rate going from 8 to 15, for example. So, as Dean mentioned, as rates adjust lower, the expectation is that there will be adjustments lower, but certainly not as fast. And as you have said, thinking about the rationale it really comes down to the fact that there is a relationship from a banking perspective between where the bank borrows through deposits and where the bank earns through loans, right? And both are, very much related and need to move in tandem. So savings rates aren't going to collapse as rates go down, and in the same way, lending rates aren't going to collapse. As you say, it's prudent for there to be a measured downward adjustment in both.
All right. Let me quickly go through another point now. Unemployment, labor market, what's happening there? We're hearing the complaints that people are finding it difficult to find workers. Yes? Is that a real issue from where you sit at Cornerstone, Dane? Do you see that? How is that likely to impact?
So we've definitely seen elements of that, in terms of, and between Cornerstone and even just our own peers. I mean, the ability for persons with a fair amount of experience to find work has definitely improved, and we see all around us, other industries having difficulty, finding persons for employment. So I mean, we so definitely from our standpoint we see it. Of course, we always continue to ensure that we're competitive as far as our talent management goes. We're very big on talent management. So notwithstanding that, I mean, we tend to be very active in terms of ensuring that, notwithstanding that we ensure that the best talent talent out there is within our shop.
How did the group perform in 2024? Yeah, what kind of year Barita Cornerstone had?
Yeah, so I can probably speak to Barita, which is the public company within the group. We had a pretty good 2024 financial year, which ended in September of last year. We posted profits north of 3.8 billion, which was up around 13% relative to the 2023 financial year. We had a record revenue level during the year, $9.9 billion, and record total assets of over 142 billion, which is really testament to the efforts of the team. Because as you have described, just based on our discussion around evolving economic conditions, it was a tough marketplace, right? So, the team really had to put a lot of effort into to produce the outturn, the result that we saw in financial year 2024. And what we saw as well, Cliff, in terms of the performance, which is something I think we discussed late last year, we saw a lot more diversification in our revenue. So we saw a return of traditional revenue sources, which really got hit in the 2023 financial year in the face of rising interest rates and economic uncertainty. So we saw increases in revenues from our investment banking and corporate finance business. So more deals were done during the last financial year. We saw increases in our trading revenue. So the team was very active there. And we saw a modest improvement in our net interest income, which is really that revenue line that's very much related to the difference between interest that we earn and interest that we pay out. Right? That's that dynamic that we discussed earlier. We saw a modest improvement there. So, it was a good year, all things considered, particularly when, looked at in the context of the difficult marketplace that we're operating in.
So come this year now, what you're looking at, you have some structural changes being planned and initiated, your January 20 extraordinary meeting. That is going to be something that you have to do according to the new Banking Services Act.
Yes, So the January 20 meeting is going to be is very important, Cliff. It's pivotal to our group. So, according to the Banking Services Act, where there are more than one regulated entity, and those include a deposit-taking institution, the institutions are required. They are required to be organized under a licensed financial holding company, right? So that is what we're doing on January 20. So the January 20 meeting will be for the shareholders to vote on the reorganization of the group. Now, so in terms of what the reorganization of the group will entail, for Barita shareholders, Barita and Cornerstone Trust and Merchant Bank will now be subsidiaries of the financial holding company Barita Financial Group Limited. Now, importantly for shareholders, there's no change in value, there's no change in how the shareholders can trade their shares. What is happening is that
no dilution in the number of shares.
No dilution in the number of shares. So what is happening is that there's going to be a financial holding company that will be the new parent company for Barita. That financial holding company will be 100% owned by Barita's current parent company, Cornerstone Financial Holdings Limited. So the beneficial ownership doesn't change. The ownership of the minority shareholders doesn't change. Nothing changes for the shareholders. What will change is that Barita will now be a part of a financial group organized under a financial holding company. The group will now be compliant with the requirements of the Banking Services Act.
And the shareholders of Barita will remain listed on the stock exchange.
Yes, very, very importantly, Cliff. I mean, we've seen that we mentioned the intention of a delisting, but that is not the subject of the January 20 meeting. That will be a separate transaction, right? And all the information will be available to stakeholders when we get to that point. But for this particular meeting, the only element under consideration is the reorganization under a financial holding company, right?
And what's the voting process for this meeting come January 20?
So persons can either come to the shareholder meeting on January 20, that's at 12 o'clock at Spanish Court Hotel, or they can vote by proxy. So they can indicate who they want to vote on their behalf. That person, of course, would need to come to the meeting. Failing that, they can appoint either the company secretary, Stephanie Sterling, or the chairman, Mark Myers, to vote in their stead. And they will indicate on the proxy form whether their vote is for or against. And those votes along with the votes of the persons there will be considered in the shareholder meeting.
Apart from the legislative imperative, tell us, how will this reorganized structure benefit the business and shareholders and clients?
Oh yes, definitely something that we're looking forward to, Cliff. So the reorganization, so it fulfills the regulatory requirement. What it also does is that it opens the door now for greater efficiency and customer centricity within our group. So it allows us to have a more integrated offering to our clients across the capabilities of both the Merchant Bank and Barita Investments, and also allows us as an institution to operate more effectively, to really leverage the best practices across the various institutions and to streamline out of the operations to make us more efficient. So definitely looking forward to that element of things as well in particular.
Good. Thank you very much. Dane Brodberg, he is the CEO designate of the Barita Financial Group. This is the new group, the consolidated group. No, that's Barita Financial Group. That's a financial holding company and acting CEO of Cornerstone Trust and Merchant Bank Limited. Thank you very much, Dane. And CEO of Barita Investments Limited and Managing Director of the Unit Trust Management Company Limited, Ramon Small Ferguson. Thank you, all the best, and all the best, gentlemen.
Thank you, Cliff.
Good.
So that's it from Barita listeners. With the little time we have left, we'll be taking your calls. The numbers are 630-937-124 and 618-8255. Come chat with us.
Enjoy the best coverage for the things you own and those you care about. Protect what matters most with life, health, and general insurance. The time by Sagicor Life and Advantage General is...
It's 15 minutes to 8.
The Watchman. Exploring issues shaping our society, government, and business. Provocative, unconventional. Dr. Henley Morgan is The Watchman.
Good evening. Our marginalized communities are like leaky buckets. To analyze the economic dilemma in which underperforming countries find themselves, economists came up with an economic analysis tool called the leaky bucket to monitor the main flows of money coming into and out of the economy. Take the Jamaican economy, for instance. Through the top of the bucket flows money from exports, tourism earnings, and remittances, as well as other sources of revenue. But in the bottom of the bucket are some big holes through which much of the wealth from positive inflows is leaking. These include crime, violence, corruption, bureaucracy, low productivity, lack of inclusiveness, low ranking in ease of doing business, not enough products that the world needs, and so on. Leakage is occurring at a faster rate than the inflows, so the country is left with a deficit. The same is true for communities. Trenchtown is a prime example. The community enjoys a world-renowned brand and goodwill from positive image created by reggae music and the icons who popularized it. Sporting greats like the late cricketer Colin Smith. Nationally significant attractions such as Culture Yard and the Old Ambassador Theatre, and also Boys Town. Production of excellent craft and ceramic items, and so much more reflecting the talent of past and current residents. These valuable assets could be the basis of a thriving tourism destination and revenue earner for residents and the country. Using the leaky bucket concept, these revenue streams remain largely unrealized due to holes in the bucket, holes that go by the name of problems that are commonplace within marginalized communities. Security concerns, substandard infrastructure and physical sanitation, low investment in human and social capital, and high out-migration of residents with education and skills, just to name a few. Very little money is flowing into the economic bucket, and much of the little that flows in leaks out. Harry Belafonte, the first Jamaican connected personality to make it big in music going back to the 1950s, and the only one to rise to superstardom on both vinyl and the silver screen, popularized a song with these opening lines. There is a hole in the bucket, dear Liza, there's a hole in the bucket. Then mend it, dear Henry, then mend it, dear Henry. With what shall I mend it, dear Liza, with what shall I mend it? There are really only three ways for marginalized communities, and by extension Jamaica, to mend the leaky bucket. We can increase inflows, reduce outflows, or do both. Until then, we will only talk about monetizing branded Jamaica, and talk is cheap. Think on these things.
You have just listened to an excerpt from a soon-to-be published book titled My Trenchtown Journey, Lessons in Social Entrepreneurship and Community Transformation for Development Leaders, Policymakers, Academics, and Practitioners. Author, Dr. Henley Morgan.
The following earthquake tip is brought to you by Coast to Coast Concrete. Plan and practice how to drop to the ground, cover your head and neck with your arms, and if a safer place is nearby that you can get to without exposing yourself to flying debris, crawl to it and hold on to maintain cover. The preceding earthquake tip was brought to you by Coast to Coast Concrete. Telephone 876-754-7472.
10 minutes going up to 8 o'clock. This is Nationwide at 5. I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Siobhan Campbell.
And Siobhan, we have received a media release from the People's National Party.
I want you to stop short from calling it a statement.
Yes. A media release that is entitled PNP denounces spurious allegations, reaffirms commitment to integrity. And if we could just read it in full, Kingston, Jamaica, January 13, 2025. The People's National Party notes with concern the spurious allegations relating to monetary offers being circulated by a former candidate, sections of the media, and the Jamaica Labour Party. While such claims may spark political intrigue for some, they contradict the party's long-standing policies and practices.
The statement says the PNP remains focused on upholding the principles of transparency and good governance. It says the matter will be addressed at a time convenient to the party. It says we encourage the public and media to focus on the party's continued efforts to serve the people of Central Kingston with integrity and dedication.
Well, that is why this is generating so much media attention, because the issue of integrity, is at stake here.
And that has been central to the PNP's platform of the last few years.
Exactly. And but what struck me about this was the brevity.
Pithy. It's a very pithy statement.
Yes, that is the word, pithy. Yeah. All they say, spurious allegations. Yeah. They have not flatly said that these allegations, are simply not true. Spurious is the word they use. Interesting. And then they will respond at a time, what is it says? At a time convenient to the party.
So that means we're not addressing this right now.
Yes,
when do you feel it's time?
Yeah, we don't need to deal with this now. Okay. Well, I suppose the people of Central Kingston and Jamaica are going to be the real arbiters of whatever is at stake here. Yes, Michael is on the line. Who is it, Michael or Errol? Errol. Good evening.
Mr. Hughes.
Yes, sir. Good evening.
How are you?
I'm alive.
You're alive. Chevron.
Evening, Errol. How you doing?
Well, I'm there, you know. Yes, when me I tell you, Mr. Hughes, about the People National Party, I want them Jamaica people, I working on them ears, clean with ear and see what I go on.
What do you think?
It was last week. It must say 1 billion missing from Panistone place there.
The St. Catherine Municipal Corporation, you're referring to that story?
Yeah, million amount of pay to bad man to keep down the peace. Big scandal upon them, you know, nobody attack or nothing, but make us injure. You know, you fast it run with. Come back again. 15 million spend again to get rid of this a little young MP to bring who they want to bring again. Mr. Hughes, and as you said, Mark Golden and Dayton Cameron, the world need to pack them back and leave. Follow back at the Englishman and the world them to take over England. You understand that, Mr. Hughes? So, don't hand over what's happening, you know, with Quaker, you know, the same thing going down, there's a 15 million and they give you separate too.
Yes.
And then, Mr. Hughes.
Yes, down at Hanover. How much was it? 15 million? That was
the 15 million, this money I get, them a give him senator position. Me not up here, you read something a while ago, then they're ready to come out in no eat and them, then nah say, no go so. So something go so.
Yeah.
But
well,
this
it's...
a white man, I need to pack up Angela Brownberg, pack up Dayton Campbell, pack up Peter Bunting, and pack up all the little idiot followers them where they're behind him and take them to England with them and leave Jamaica, make Jamaica prosper, you know, and leave it in the good and right, you know.
Mm-hmm.
You hear me, Mr. Hughes?
I hear you, sir. I hear you.
I beg you, tell Marky G, pack him back and go back to England. We don't want him, And them little Jamaican people, that they not no sense. And 9 years, we don't bring no tax come here. And yet, Damian Crawford, him and the first one come say him a go tax education. Then Dayton Campbell come back, him a go tax food.
No, Damien didn't say he was going to tax education. He was going to tax GCT to spend it on education.
For education.
Yes.
I know this a man a come, him a go tax imported food. When Trevor and them hold him last week, you know, him a but him a just him a yo, Papa, tell them, you know, Mark Golding and him followers them to pat them bungle and leave and go England, you know, cause watch here. Prosperity time, you know. No way them not get no bite of the cake here.
Mm-hmm.
No way. It's all about Dr. Andrew Holness. 3 times load of weight, you know. Thank you, Mr. Hughes.
Okay, sir.
All right, thank you, Errol.
Mm-hmm. All right, that's where we have to leave it this evening. We're out of time. Yeah. We want to say thanks to Errol, or YouTubers, or contributors, of course, our producer, Dana Davey, our technical operator, Andrew Anderson, the members of the news and production team led by our editor, Cara Powell. I'm Cliff Hughes.
And I'm Siobhan Campbell.
Reminding you, take care of your loved one and look out for your neighbor. Good night.
Introducing Domus Windows and Doors.